After Martha and Henry's pasts are revealed, following the end of the first term for the Eden Academy students, Anya and her classmates take a well-deserved break to spend time with their friends and families. But the story takes an unexpected turn. A shocking revelation about the ever-mysterious Donovan Desmond begins to surface, one that could change everything moving forward. What secrets are about to be uncovered, and how will this affect Operation Strix? Let's find out. Anya lay on the couch in their home, staring blankly into space. She rolled off the cushion and tumbled across the floor until she ended up under the table and rolling again. Yoor asked if she could hand her the dust cloth, but instead of helping, Anya muttered that it was too much work. She rolled across the floor again and complained that even walking had become too much work. Lloyd arrived home just in time to see Anya sprawled on the floor. She jolted in panic the moment she noticed him, and because of that he made her study and do her homework, which left her on the verge of tears. Once he sat on the couch, he reminded her not to assume she could slack off just because school was on break. The television was on, and it quickly caught Anya's attention. A reporter was talking about a creature that had appeared for the first time in 2 days. Belle, a Nordic seal first spotted the previous week, had once again drawn a huge crowd to the Eber River, where people gathered hoping to see it. Everyone adored the creature's cuteness. Experts believed Belle had been separated from her pack during the seasonal southern migration, and they expressed surprise at finding a seal so far from the ocean. Anya's eyes lit up as she watched. She turned to Lloyd, ready to speak, but before she could even utter a word, he immediately said they were not going. She collapsed on the table in frustration and rolled around while repeating that she wanted to go and see Belle. Lloyd simply answered too bad and told her to get off the table. Anya pointed to Belle on the television and insisted that Belle looked just like Bond. Lloyd asked why that would be a valid reason to go, and reminded her she could just look at Bond at home. Besides, they were not going anywhere until she finished her homework. Hearing them, Yoor stepped out to greet Lloyd with a welcome home. Anya, however, glared at her father. She argued that she would use the trip for her animal research project about seals, so it still counted as homework. Lloyd countered that they should be going to an aquarium for that. Anya insisted it needed to be a wild animal, but he told her to stop trying to fool him and return to her work. He stood to change the channel, but every station was reporting about Belle. Lloyd wondered why every channel was covering the same thing and asked if there were no real news left to report. Yoor laughed softly and said it only showed how peaceful the world had become, which made her happy whenever she saw this kind of news. Lloyd hadn't expected that and paused, realizing she had a point. It felt like the essence of his mission. Meanwhile, Anya continued to throw a tantrum, sobbing dramatically on the floor and declaring that her childhood was over. Lloyd thought about it and realized he no longer had any other duties that day, so he finally asked if she truly intended to work on her animal research project there. Anya immediately jumped to her feet, energized by the chance. A short while later, the scene shifted to the Eber River. The Forger family had gone there because Anya wanted to see the seal, Belle. She wondered where the seal might be, while Lloyd thought they would not find it that easily. Even if they knew Belle was somewhere along the Eber River, that information alone did not help much, since they had no idea which part she was in. From not too far away, someone noticed them. It was Becky, accompanied by her dog and her attendant, Martha. Becky asked if that was Anya she was seeing, and Anya lit up in excitement when she spotted her. Becky asked if they were also there to see Belle and remarked that it was such a basic thing to do. Martha could not believe those words came from her. Becky greeted Lloyd and Yoor, and Anya explained that she was there for a research project, though she was clearly the only one making that claim. Lloyd returned the greeting to Becky and Martha, and Yoor asked how they were doing. Becky felt delighted to see them. She blushed at the sight of Lloyd, whom she referred to as her Lloyd, as well as her master. But she remembered Martha telling her that home wrecking was a no-no. She decided she would behave like a classy lady, just like Martha, and would not try to steal Lloyd. She closed her eyes as she imagined herself becoming more grown-up. Since she drifted too deep into her thoughts, Martha reminded her to return their greeting properly. Becky then asked if they had already seen Belle, and Anya replied that they had only just arrived. Their dogs, Wiesel and Bond, greeted one another as well. Becky pointed toward a spot where people were filming. She asked Anya if she wanted to appear on the news too, saying she needed practice anyway for when she eventually became a TV star. Anya immediately wondered if they would get money for appearing on television. Lloyd stepped between the conversation of the two girls and told them they should not disturb the broadcast, reminding them that Eden Academy was strict about showing their students in the media. In truth, what he was thinking about was the danger of exposure. He was a spy, and Anya was from an orphanage. He could not risk having both their faces appear in mass media. Anya read his thoughts and declined Becky's suggestion, saying she was there for thorough academic research, though that was simply something she insisted on. She told them they should not go near the cameras. Becky could not believe it, since she had wanted everyone to see how cute she was. Martha simply told her to give up on that idea. Crowds had gathered on both sides of the Eber River, all hoping to catch a glimpse of Belle. Some people even brought telescopes to help them spot her. On the opposite bank, a reporter stood ready, waiting to capture footage. After a while, Becky grew irritated because Belle still had not appeared. She pointed at the water and complained that Belle had some nerve making her wait that long, then threatened that Belle should show herself soon or she would send a submarine into the river. Martha pulled her back and reminded her that war was a no-no. With that, they decided it was time to head home. Becky said her goodbyes and suggested they play again soon, and once she left, Anya told her mother that she was getting bored as well. She wondered why Belle was being so rude. Yor explained that Belle had a life of her own and would only show herself if she felt like it. Hearing that, Anya decided she and Bond would just play until Belle finally appeared. Lloyd reminded her not to go too close to the riverbank. He then sat down, admitting that waiting was not exactly his thing, and it was obvious he was growing impatient. Yor responded that it felt nice every now and then to simply pause and not think for a while, stop worrying, relax, and let go. Lloyd fell quiet and thought about what she said. Yor added that he might not remember it, but they had done the same thing before, right after they got married. And come to think of it, ever since then, he always seemed to have wrinkles between his brows. Not far away, Anya had found an unusual bug and showed it to Bond, though her parents reminded her to be careful. Lloyd continued thinking about Yor's words about relaxing and letting go. Because of that, he lifted his gaze toward the peaceful sky, took a deep breath, and allowed himself to relax. Yor did the same beside him, and the two simply enjoyed the scenery in silence, letting their minds rest. Nearby, Bond and Anya played happily together. Lloyd tensed when he noticed Anya and Bond drifting closer to the river. Bond had caught a scent and ran after it, and Anya chased him, asking what he had found. Lloyd grew irritated because he had already told that brat to stay away from the riverbank. He stood up and admitted that not worrying, even for a moment, was a bit difficult for him. Yor agreed as she also stood, laughing lightly. Anya and Bond moved toward the bushes, and hidden right there was the seal they had been searching for all along. Anya froze in shock at seeing it up close, then suddenly burst out in excitement as she recognized Belle. The seal startled at the sound of her voice, so Anya immediately stopped and covered her mouth. Belle peeked at her from the water. Anya lay flat on the ground and stretched her hand forward, calling the seal to come closer. Belle jerked in surprise. A moment later, Lloyd rushed over and pulled Anya back, reminding her that he had warned her about the danger. But Anya quickly hushed him, and that was when Lloyd finally realized the seal was right there, watching them. He deduced that Belle must have been hiding in that backwater area, likely because there was more food there. Anya read Belle's thoughts, sensing that the seal found people frightening because they kept chasing her. She told Lloyd that Belle was scared of them. Lloyd was not surprised at all, since the poor creature had been pursued by crowds for an entire week. He suggested that they sit quietly and simply let Belle be. They agreed, and Belle stayed where she was, rolling around lazily. Yor couldn't help but gush about how cute she looked, and Anya thought she was like a slick, streamlined version of Bond. Lloyd noted that Anya could surely be able to make a much better research observation than that. Belle eventually fell asleep while floating on the water in front of them, prompting Anya to comment on how lazy seals were. Yor wondered if maybe Belle was just lonely. Anya asked if she counted as a missing person, and Lloyd explained that she had probably been separated from her group, but she was not a person. Yor then called Anya's attention and pointed toward the direction of the ocean. The moment Belle heard her, the seals suddenly swam away. Anya stared in disbelief as she watched her go, and Yoer questioned whether Belle had actually understood her. Yet suddenly, Belle resurfaced right in front of Anya with something in her mouth. Anya flinched in surprise as the seal dropped a small creature at her feet. Lloyd crouched to inspect it and realized it was a crawfish. A moment later, Belle swam off, and Yoer noted that this time she really did seem to be leaving for good. She wondered if that might have been the seal's way of expressing gratitude. Lloyd considered the idea and found Belle surprisingly intelligent. The gesture reminded him of what the handler once told him, that some of the Project Apple research teams were still active. He started overthinking the implication, only for Bond to suddenly let out a loud whine after being pinched by the crawfish. Anya panicked and rushed to him, and Lloyd snapped back to reality as he removed the crawfish from Bond's nose, wondering what was wrong with him. Since Belle had already gone home, Anya decided they should head home as well, and Yoer agreed. As they approached the car, Lloyd reminded Anya that once they returned home, she would have to properly document all her observations. Anya frowned at the reminder. She reasoned that if she wanted to truly understand Belle's behavior, then once they got home, she should logically take a nap. Lloyd sighed and told her not to use her research project as an excuse to be lazy. The scene shifted to the National Library, where Damien and his friends were gathered. His friends called out to him, addressing him as boss man, but he barely looked up from his books, asking what they wanted in a distracted tone. Ewan complained that since they were finally on school break, they should be playing instead of being stuck inside a library, insisting that Damien took studying way too seriously. Emile added that he wanted to go on an adventure, but Damien dismissed both of them with the curt order to shut up. A librarian then approached pushing a trolley of books and reminded them that the library was a place for quiet study. Ewan and Emile protested that Damien was being unreasonable. He then handed the books to Damien and explained that he had found some old tomes in storage and thought he might be interested. Damien's face brightened immediately as he thanked him. He seemed genuinely impressed by his love for reading as he noticed the titles: Chronicle of the South, Annals of the Oniii-Chan Empire, and several more. Damien said he genuinely loved those kinds of works, adding that maintaining his top rank in history mattered to him, along with the stela that came with it. When Emile glanced at the books, he claimed they made him sleepy. Damien grew irritated and asked what his problem was, pointing out that Emile had just said he wanted adventure. To him, this was adventure. He opened one of the tomes and urged them to look at the ancient culture that once flourished in the southern region of their continent. Emile dismissed it as ancient history, and Ewan agreed, saying they should be living in the present and going on real adventures themselves. The librarian joined the conversation by mentioning that there had been a treasure hunting boom shortly after the war. Both Ewan and Emile perked up at the topic. He explained that advances in aircraft technology during the conflict had sparked rumors of mysterious ruins captured in military photographs or spotted by pilots and such. Everyone became obsessed with tales of hidden treasures and lost secrets from ancient eras. Ewan was fascinated by the story, but Damien showed no interest and called them a bunch of morons. The librarian then showed them an article from that time. The Eden Academy archaeology team had once launched an expedition into an unexplored region, and a student who joined the team earned a Stella Star after discovering a fragment of ancient earthenware. That caught Damien's attention immediately. As a result of their excitement, the three friends left the library feeling completely motivated to explore somewhere new. They were eager to hunt for historic ruins, with the thought of earning a Stella pushing them forward. Their butlers accompanied them, and Jeeves reminded them not to run since they could easily injure themselves. The Desmond butler, Jeeves, said he was sure that none of them had expected their vacation to be spent this way, and the Elman butler agreed with a helpless smile, while the Egeberg butler simply observed everything quietly. While running, Emile asked Damien if he was sure they were heading in the right direction, but Damien admitted he had no idea. Eventually, they laid out a cloth so they could rest. Ewan suggested they take a break and actually check their books, and Damien immediately agreed. Jeeves commented that it would have been better if they had done that before leaving, and the other butler reminded Emile not to get library books dirty. According to the text, the temple at the center of the capital, the mountain to the east, and the sun at sunrise aligned in a straight line on the day of the spring equinox. Emile believed this meant they simply needed to follow that direction. Yuan pointed out, however, that it was already autumn and several hours had passed since sunrise. The three boys looked at one another, realizing their timing was completely off, but they decided to continue the expedition anyway. They pointed out the mountain ahead and assumed it must be the eastern peak described in the book. If they searched the western side of that mountain, they were sure something would turn up. Their excitement reignited, and they ventured onward. They even told Damien to slow down as they picked up their pace. Meanwhile, the Elman butler wondered aloud whether Jeeves truly believed the book could be trusted, but Jeeves admitted he wasn't certain either. Many people had been interested in the area during the height of the treasure hunting boom, so it wasn't impossible that something existed. Still, he felt it wasn't their place to tell the boys the expedition was hopeless. It was better to play along until their curiosity was satisfied. The Egeberg butler teased him for coddling Damien too much. The boys were completely absorbed in examining their map as they continued onward, marveling at everything they encountered. They climbed rock formations, crossed a hanging bridge while their butlers carried the equipment behind them. They even drank water from a nearby waterfall as part of the adventure. A moment later, Jeeves used an acorn to protect his young master Damien, hurling it straight at a snake lurking in the forest. Damien shuddered at the sight of the venomous creature, and his friends quickly asked if he was all right. He tearfully admitted he wasn't, complaining that there were snakes and bugs everywhere, and that this was exactly why he didn't want to come here. Jeeves reassured him that he had nothing to worry about, and that he would gladly lay down his life if necessary to protect him. Emile then asked if he disliked the experience that much, wondering if he wanted to go back already. Damien insisted they couldn't simply return since they hadn't found a single thing yet. If he went home now, he would tarnish the Desmond name. Jeeves fell quiet at that declaration. He then suggested they stop to eat, which excited the boys. The butlers went straight to work, revealing impressive cooking skills. One finally chopped the ingredients, another handled the cooking, while Jeeves served the dishes, all of them dressed in full chef attire complete with toques and aprons. They had prepared a monk-style meal made with edible wild greens, truffles foraged from the forest, and venison from a fresh hunt. The boys were thrilled when they learned what was being served. After the meal, Emile encouraged them to continue the expedition. However, Damien remained absorbed in his book, frustrated and unable to understand what they were doing wrong. Not a single clue had led them to anything. Ewan pointed out that in terms of stamina and time, they only had 2 or 3 hours left. Damien declared that he didn't care if it took them all night or even the entire next day. He refused to return without making a discovery. His friends were shocked, calling the idea too dangerous and wishing instead to sleep in their soft beds later that night. Damien grew irritated, reminding them that they were the ones who had wanted this adventure in the first place. Jeeves then gently reminded Damien that those above had a duty to listen to the voices of those below. The two boys were startled by the mention of being below, which left Damien torn. He wondered what he should do next, feeling that he was still far from earning a Stella Star. He forced himself to think, deciding to imagine putting himself in the position of the ancient king referenced in the texts. He wondered where the king of antiquity would establish his capital. Once he accomplished that, the path before him would naturally open. Damien began taking deep breaths, inhaling with determination and exhaling with focus, startling Ewan and Emile as he slipped into a state of intense meditation. He declared that he was no longer Damien, but the king of antiquity himself. Emile grew excited at the idea that the king had descended into Damien's body, while Damien proclaimed that he brimmed with the sun's energy. Watching all of this, Jeeves couldn't recall any moment when he had been taught the art of kingcraft. Still, Damien took the lead, pointing forward and declaring that he could sense the vibrations of light coming from that direction. His friends immediately pledged to follow him wherever their king commanded. Even the butlers struggled to believe what they were witnessing. As Damien continued walking in character as the king of antiquity, a spider suddenly landed on his shoulder. His composure vanished instantly, cold sweat dripping down his face as he panicked and spun around while repeatedly chanting Mengamoa. Ewan wondered aloud if he was speaking in some kind of ancient tongue, and Emile excitedly suggested that their majesty might be performing an ancient ritual. Damien cried uncontrollably as he ran, while Jeeves chased after him with a stick in hand, trying to knock the spider off. He urged Damien not to run or he might hurt himself. That only made Damien scream that he wanted to go home, that he didn't want to stay there anymore, and that he wanted to return immediately. Jeeves informed him that he was running in the wrong direction if he wanted to go home, and reminded him that those in higher positions must never show their weakness to those below. Damien shouted back that he didn't want to stand above anyone. He no longer wanted any Stella either. He sprinted as fast as he could until he eventually tripped and fell hard to the ground. Emil and Ewan panicked for their king and rushed to him. Instead of helping him up, Jeeves advised that he needed to stand using his own power. His friends hurried over and asked if he was hurt, but as Damien raised his head, he became stunned by what he saw. Ewan and Emil looked up as well, and before them stood a gigantic flower in the middle of the forest. They stared in awe, unsure what this enormous bloom even was. The three boys cheered, declaring that their king had done it and had discovered an entirely new species, convinced he would surely earn a Stella for this. Damien insisted he was no longer a king and questioned whether it was even a flower. He wondered aloud if it might be an entrance to some hidden temple. Jeeves explained that it was one of the largest flowers in the world. From what he remembered, it was called a Jeskacran, also known as the Witch's Crib. It wasn't a new discovery, he clarified, but extremely few people ever encountered a specimen of that size. He was certain that if Damien brought back some photographs, the teachers and scholars of the botany department would be thrilled. Damien showed no interest, saying it wasn't worth a Stella. Ewan then took photos himself. Emil praised Damien anyway, telling him his discovery was still impressive. Later that evening, their rides finally arrived. 3 cars in a row and 3 helicopters descended to retrieve them. As Damien boarded, he immediately said he was exhausted. The pilot asked what he wanted for dinner, and Damien responded that they would just eat at a restaurant once they returned to Berlin. Jeeves fell quiet at that and clarified that no members of the Desmond family were currently staying at the mansion, in case that was what concerned him. Damien was taken aback, insisting that wasn't what he meant and that he never said he didn't want to go home. Jeeves apologized, explaining that Damien always seemed to be searching for reasons not to return. Damien argued back that Jeeves always worried about the strangest things. Besides, he wasn't the one avoiding anyone. Jeeves asked if he was certain about that. If so, then perhaps he would call Damien's mother and request that she prepare dinner for him again. Damien panicked and demanded that he not do that. He refused to allow it. Jeeves then reminded him that they also needed to show the photos of the enormous flower to Master Demetrius, confident that even he had never seen a bloom so grand. He predicted that the man's eyes would surely pop with shock, which made Damien mutter that his eyes always looked like they were popping anyway. Damien suddenly realized something and asked Jeeves whether he had been saying all sorts of things to his mother. Jeeves looked puzzled and asked what exactly he meant. Damien, now tense, wondered if he had been talking to her about the forger girl. That caught Jeeves off guard, and he asked if Damien was referring to their intimate dance at the end-of-term party, or perhaps to how long he agonized over what to wear to that very same occasion. Damien let out a mortified scream, his face burning with embarrassment, and demanded that Jeeves tell him he hadn't shared any of that with his mother. But Jeeves simply replied that he no longer remembered. The pilot, growing increasingly anxious as Damien continued to flail in humiliation, pleaded with Jeeves to calm their young master down before they ended up crashing the aircraft. Another day came, and the scene opened with a Chinese zodiac-themed timekeeping device striking its gong, accompanied by the rhythmic clack of a shurshuradoshi bamboo fountain. Several other contraptions chimed throughout the room while their owner slept soundly. A spring-loaded mechanical training dummy suddenly shot out and repeatedly punched the sleeping Frankie in the face, but he groggily swatted it aside and mumbled for 5 more minutes. That triggered the appearance of a samurai automaton behind him, raising its sword and declaring that he would die in disgrace. It swung for Frankie's head, and that was finally enough to jolt him awake. He rolled away just in time, leaving the automaton to slice only through his pillow and bed. Horrified but still half asleep, he sat up and looked around in confusion, wondering where he was. Only then did he remember that he was inside one of his hideouts in Little Yapong. He had built so many hideouts lately that he could barely keep track of where he woke up anymore. Still yawning, he brushed his teeth and admitted to himself that the Abso Waker Type J might still need improvements, since he had nearly failed to wake up at all. Afterward, he combed his hair, put on his glasses, and admired his reflection, telling himself he looked good as usual. He played a vinyl record, sat at his workbench, and immediately got absorbed in tinkering. He wondered if adding an F-type decelerator to the module would allow him to lighten the structure while increasing torque. The thought excited him, and he happily continued adjusting various components while listening to his favorite government band music, insisting to himself that nothing in life felt better. Eventually, he completed the device and proudly named it Senju, a life enhancement tool designed to boost his productivity many times over. It exploded the moment he tested it while wearing it, but he simply shrugged it off, muttering that life was nothing but a process of trial and error. When his clock rang, he glanced at the time and realized he needed to open the shop. He headed out and arrived at his tobacco store, where a civilian came in to buy the latest issue of Hearsay Weekly. Frankie handed it over cheerfully. An elderly woman followed, and he greeted her as Mrs. Mills, mentioning that her usual order was ready. A beautiful woman came next, purchasing rich chocolate and lemon juice. Frankie recognized her as Suzanne and immediately asked her out for the evening. She rejected him without hesitation, exactly as he expected. The next visitor at Frankie's stall was Fiona, who curtly requested the day's issue of the Daily OSD along with mint gum. He did not seem pleased to see her again. As Frankie handed over the items, Fiona informed him that she needed a forged pass for the Potham School of Science. He reluctantly agreed, saying he would see whether he could find the time to work on it. But the moment she turned her back, she warned him that he had 1 week to produce it, or she would make sure he finished the task behind bars. Irritated, Frankie muttered that she needed to stop treating him like an errand boy. He was a free spirit, not some gopher. Before he could continue grumbling, the phone rang at the back of the shop. When he answered, Lloyd was on the line, asking if he could watch Anya and Bond for a short while. Frankie protested, having just complained about being treated like an errand boy, but he still headed straight to the forger home. As soon as Lloyd stepped out, Frankie threw himself dramatically into his role as Dark King Scruffius and demanded that Anya kneel. Anya refused and vowed to avenge Bond, who was asleep at the side. While she kicked him repeatedly, Frankie focused only on the payment. He could endure any humiliation for the sake of money. Once his babysitting duty ended, he gathered the payment and left, thinking about how to invest it wisely. The next scene revealed exactly how he intended to invest it. He had gone straight to the racetrack, betting his earnings and cheering wildly for his chosen horse while the men behind him waited tensely. For a moment it seemed he would win, but the race shifted and the others erupted in celebration while he fell into deep frustration. Realizing he had lost everything, he lamented that he would be eating plain pasta for a month and had no choice but to work again. The teller announced last call for bets on the next race, and Frankie lined up once more. When he reached the counter, he instructed the teller to place 415 Dalk on the 415 trifecta. The teller apologized, explaining that they could no longer provide intel for those routes because the SSS had raided Latchkey Latchy earlier that day. Until they found a replacement, they had lost access to gates 4 and up. Frankie stared in disbelief. The teller offered him spare movie tickets as a consolation, joking that he should take his girl out for a good time, assuming he could find one. Frankie took the tickets, although they could not feed him. As he walked away, he pointed angrily back at the teller, promising that he would prove him wrong and show him exactly what girl he could bring. While heading out, he debated selling the movie tickets to a scalper for food money. Before he could decide, someone called his name. It was Priscilla. He greeted her with exaggerated charm, calling her as lovely as ever. After a brief pause to gather courage, he asked if she wanted to watch a movie with him. To his shock, she agreed immediately. He had already braced himself for the usual rejection, so her acceptance stunned him. He asked again if she really meant it, and she smiled as she explained that it happened to be the exact movie she had been wanting to watch. Still unable to believe his luck, he agreed to meet her at 6 in Alex Square, and she accepted. Once she was out of sight, he wondered whether the teller had witnessed that exchange. Either way, he silently thanked him for the tickets. Overwhelmed by excitement, he tried to calm himself. The first step was to retrieve his best suit from Hideout B. He wanted to look perfect, so he rushed there, put on his sharpest suit and bow, hummed to himself, and admired his reflection. He even made a dinner reservation afterward at a restaurant that accepted credit, imagining Priscilla's delight and picturing the moment he would finally hear the magic words he had waited so long to say. While Frankie was still savoring the fantasy of his perfect date, his phone suddenly rang. Annoyance washed over him, since he was just getting to the exciting part of his daydream. The caller immediately informed him that the teller at the racetrack had been caught up in the latchkey-latchy business and had just been raided by certain individuals he knew all too well. Frankie was stunned for a moment, then irritatedly asked why that should be his problem. He wondered aloud why he had to handle everything. He was at a major crossroads in his life and believed he should be the one taking control. He hung up once the caller finished talking and continued on his way. He picked up a bouquet of flowers, humming cheerfully as he walked. The street sign for Alex Square came into view, and he carried on with a spring in his step. He climbed a set of stairs while still humming, then stopped at a locked door. Using his tools, he quickly picked the lock and entered, flowers in hand. Inside, a group of men were already interrogating someone. Wearing a gas mask, Frankie apologized for keeping them waiting, shocking the group and especially the battered teller who immediately recognized him. Frankie raised the bouquet toward them, revealing that it was in fact a concealed weapon. A burst of powder erupted from the flowers, catching them completely off guard. The room filled with choking clouds, and the men coughed violently, while Frankie remained unaffected behind his mask. He grabbed the sneezing teller, insisting they had no time for more sneezes. When he demanded to know who caused all this trouble, one of the gunmen started aiming at his own ally, but another yelled that the target had already escaped and that they should be focusing on them instead. Gunfire erupted toward the door in an attempt to pin him down. Frankie, however, dodged with surprising agility. He slipped something over his knuckles and bristled with irritation as he advanced. He shouted back at them not to underestimate him and drove a powerful punch straight into one of the armed men. The impact was tremendous, enough for Frankie to proudly ask whether the man enjoyed the force of his signature close-range pocket punch. His triumph was short-lived. The device on his knuckles shattered instantly, and the pain shot through his hand so sharply that he screamed. It hurt far more than he expected. The teller snapped at him, calling him an idiot for being far too weak to fight those men and insisting he should just run. Frankie didn't listen and dragged him along anyway, claiming it felt like his lucky day. The teller protested that he never had anything close to a lucky day. As they ran, Frankie tossed several tiny pellets onto the path, causing their pursuers to slip and stumble. One of the men stepped on a pellet, confused at how sticky it was and wondering what it could be. Frankie proudly identified them as birdlime caltrops, an ancient ninja art, while continuing to sprint away. The teller managed to thank Frankie for rescuing him, though he remained baffled about the reason. Frankie pulled off his mask and smugly revealed that the movie tickets the teller had given him had landed him a date with Priscilla from the pub on 2nd Street. He boasted that the teller should never have doubted him. The teller could hardly believe Frankie saved his life just to brag about that. He then pointed out that the movie had already started. Frankie admitted that he apologized to Priscilla and handed her the tickets, but their dinner afterward was still happening. That was where he planned to drop the L word. From above, they noticed 2 vehicles arriving just as the teller finished untying his hands. He grew even more irritated, wondering why Frankie had said all that, since fate had now sent reinforcements to make everything even more tragic. Frankie answered that it was just a coincidence, though he wondered how those men had gotten there so quickly. The teller guessed they must have been hunting people nearby, trying to round up their entire information network. Frankie only grinned, saying they were welcome to try and that he would show them how difficult catching rats could be. When they finally came face to face with their pursuers, Frankie's umbrella invention shielded them as their ally. While running, he pressed a hidden button that caused the ground to open beneath them and swallow the enemies down, allowing them to escape. In the end, they got away using Frankie's parachute. Nighttime arrived, and they had finally shaken off their enemies. On top of that, they had managed to rescue their comrades as well, and Frankie felt sure those men had learned their lesson. Both he and the teller were exhausted from all the running. Frankie suddenly noticed the time and panicked, saying his dinner date was coming up soon and that he owed the teller for everything. The teller simply told him to make him proud. When Frankie finally met up with Priscilla, she explained that she didn't like watching movies alone, so she invited the new guy from her workplace, the one she was interested in. They had enjoyed themselves so much that they were now an official couple. and she thanked Frankie sincerely for making it happen. Frankie could only stare in disbelief as he chewed on lettuce from his salad bowl. He managed to respond with a simple comment, congratulating her, while remembering how he had spoken those same small words earlier with sincerity. Because of that, he silently cursed their era and cursed the teller as well, yet he still insisted to himself that it counted as a good day. He had woken up early, enjoyed his sense of freedom, saved his friends, and even acted as a cupid for Priscilla. With all that, he told himself he couldn't call it a bad life. Suddenly, a man followed him behind, and Frankie flinched when he heard a popping sound. He turned around in shock, only to see the teller firing a party popper to celebrate getting a girlfriend. The teller congratulated him, but his expression changed when he realized something had gone wrong. Embarrassed, he admitted he only wanted to celebrate his achievement. Frankie reassured him that it was fine and told him not to worry. Trying to lift the mood, the teller produced 2 more tickets to a different movie and asked if Frankie wanted to go. Frankie's eyes brightened and he agreed. They headed to the cinema that same night. On screen, the male lead admired the beauty of the moon while his partner asked who was more beautiful, herself or the moon, and he devotedly chose her. They kissed and continued kissing, leaving Frankie and the teller unprepared for how unexpectedly intimate the scene turned out to be. The moment was awkward, but Frankie still considered it a good day. When the movie ended, the two went their separate ways. The next day, Becky visited Anya at their house with Martha and immediately threw the door open, inviting Anya to watch a movie with her. Anya agreed right away, imagining it would be Godzilla vs. King Chihuahua. Becky flatly explained that they were not watching a kiddie movie because she had chosen a love story. She held up the poster for Kiss Distance, calling it the newest film featuring Rachel from Berlin in Love. Anya wondered aloud if it was Rachel versus King Chihuahua, which Becky clarified was impossible since Rachel would immediately die in a fight like that. Anya remained uninterested, insisting she only liked movies with battles. Becky reminded her that she would never win over Damien unless she learned something about romance, which shocked Anya once she realized this was connected to her plan B. Becky also invited Yor, who was surprised but agreed to join them. They headed to the cinema where Martha purchased their tickets, 2 adults and 2 children, and Yor thanked her politely. Outside, Anya was already busy eating her popcorn, prompting Becky to warn her not to finish it before the movie even began. When they entered the theater, it was the same film Frankie had watched the night before. On screen, the male lead admitted he was a broken razor, warning the female lead not to come near him. She questioned why he was always fighting, saying she hated ruffians like him and that his pompadour hairstyle did not suit him. He shut her down harshly, threatening to cut her if she kept talking. Becky was completely invested, while Anya continued munching popcorn without much interest. The male lead grabbed a thug and told him never to touch his woman. The female lead blushed, asking what he had just called her, and Ricky replied that he had finally realized his feelings for her. They confessed their love for each other, making Becky squeal with delight. The film replayed the earlier moonlit scene where the male lead admired the beauty of the moon, and the woman asked which was more beautiful, herself or the moon, to which he chose her without hesitation. He then complained that his pompadour always got in the way when they tried to kiss. In response, he declared that he would get rid of it, shocking her because she knew how precious that hairstyle was to him. Ricky knelt in the river and splashed water on his own head as if washing away the pompadour, insisting she mattered more. The woman was touched to the point of tears as he faced her with dripping hair and proclaimed that nothing could stop their love now. They kissed again, and Yor flushed at the scene while Anya had already fallen asleep and begun snoring. Becky, on the other hand, cried uncontrollably from how emotionally moved she was, while Martha remained unfazed. After leaving the cinema, Becky happily declared the movie fantastic and praised the theater. Anya agreed only to say the popcorn had been perfectly salted, which Becky did not expect. Becky closed her eyes and swooned over the romantic kissing scenes, insisting that kissing really could solve anything. Anya wondered if it could bring about world peace, and even Yor blushed hearing that, responding that she doubted it. Then Yor, still embarrassed, looked at Martha and asked if it was normal to kiss someone that many times in a row. Martha, caught completely off guard, admitted she was not an expert on the subject. Becky remarked that Anya was still too young to be thinking about kissing. Anya immediately motioned in protest, insisting she was not, and that she was learning from the movie. She imitated the male lead by throwing a punch in the air and declaring that no one should ever touch his woman. Becky corrected her and told her that was supposed to be Damien's role. Anya countered that she preferred being the protector instead of the one being protected. Becky turned toward Yor and asked for reinforcement from her master, wondering if that was really the right way to attract a boy. Yor was caught off guard by the question, but admitted that if she had to choose, she would prefer to be the protector as well. Martha agreed and said she would choose the same. Becky frowned and muttered that it figured, since both Yor and Martha were strong. She complained that she had no one to do squealy, giggly, girly talk with, prompting Yor to apologize awkwardly. Meanwhile, Anya continued mimicking Ricky from the movie, announcing that she was a broken eraser so no one should come near her. Martha observed that it did not sound dangerous at all. The scene shifted to the Desmond estate, an immense property stretching wide across the land. A flying insect drifted through the air before being swiftly swatted down by one of the servants. Jeeves asked if it was truly necessary to kill it, and the servant replied that their master Damien despised bugs, so she would not allow even a single insect to enter the manor. After all, it had been quite a while since Damien last returned home ever since school began, and she wanted everything to be perfect for his stay. Jeeves advised her not to overdo it. He understood that such occasions were rare, but it seemed like everyone was unusually frantic. The servant asked if he had not heard the news. Inside the manor, Damien knocked on a door. It was the room of his older brother, Demetrius, and he introduced himself before waiting for a response. After a moment, Demetrius asked what he wanted. Damien hoped he could help him with his homework. Demetrius thought for a bit before reminding him that they had a tutor on staff, and that he should simply ask that tutor instead. Damien, deflated with disappointment, accepted the answer and stepped away, saying he would do that and apologizing for the disturbance. As he walked down the hall, something caught his eye through the window. Their massive dog, Max, had spotted him and came barreling over in excitement. With its size and strength, it bumped into him hard enough to knock him straight into the garden pond. Damien fell into the water while Max wagged his tail happily by the edge. Jeeves and Mary Jane immediately came running when they witnessed it from afar, shouting after Damien and asking if he was all right. Damien resurfaced, managing to climb out, soaked from head to toe. Mary Jane scolded Max and called him a bad dog, which made the dog droop sadly, reminding him that he had been told not to pounce on the young master. Damien said it was fine, insisting that he simply wanted to play with him. He petted the dog and said he was glad Max was still as energetic as ever, which sent Max wagging enthusiastically again. Jeeves pointed out that Damien should have told them if he wanted to go outside. Mary Jane agreed and said Jeeves was right, especially since it was nearly dinner time and he was still completely drenched. As Damien dried himself, he muttered that no one cared about that. Mary Jane corrected him, saying that today they absolutely did, because it was the first time in a long while that their entire family would be having dinner together. Damien stared at her in shock. And indeed, outside the estate, the family's car arrived with a full convoy. His father stepped out of the vehicle. Donovan emerged with his usual grave expression, wide, unblinking eyes, giving him an imposing presence. Returning to their earlier conversation, Mary Jane explained that they had only just found out as well. Donovan's meeting had been canceled, so he decided to visit home, something he rarely did. He ordered the staff to prepare a proper family dinner for everyone. Damien felt panic rising as the realization sank in that his father was really here. He asked what he was supposed to do. Jeeves advised him to stay calm, because it was only dinner. When dinner time arrived, each member of the Desmond family entered the dining room one by one. Melinda walked in first, composed and impeccably poised, her expression serious. Next came the eldest son, Demetrius. Their parents sat at opposite ends of the long table, while the two brothers sat along the sides. The air was tense and silent as the servants began to serve their meal. The resemblance between Donovan and Demetrius was unmistakable in their stern expressions, and Melinda and Damien mirrored each other as well in both looks and demeanor. Still, no one spoke. The dishes were set before them, and Damien could only observe nervously, unsure how he was supposed to behave. The atmosphere was unbearably quiet and awkward. No one even moved to pick up a fork or spoon. They all sat in silence until Melinda finally broke it by asking her husband how work had been. He did not seem to expect the question and simply replied that it was fine, then told everyone to eat while the food was still warm. With that, the stillness finally cracked, and the faint clinking of silverware filled the room as they began their meal. Yet there was still no conversation. Damien kept glancing at his father, wondering if he should say something, and just when he gathered the courage to speak, he hesitated and backed out. Demetrius, meanwhile, paid attention to nothing and simply ate in silence, his unblinking eyes as eerie as ever. A servant poured Melinda a drink, and from her point of view, she could only take a sip and avert her eyes. From where she sat, her husband stared straight ahead. Her son sat stiffly at the sides. Donovan remained focused on his meal, and just like Demetrius, he did not blink once, his expression unchanged from start to finish. His blank, unmoving face made both Melinda and Damien twitch with discomfort. Demetrius simply enjoyed his soup without issue. After a while, Donovan finally shut his eyes tightly and blinked, which startled Jeeves and the other staff members. Damien, however, sat in pure misery at that table. Once again, he gathered the courage to speak to his father, but the moment he opened his mouth, he froze, which caused Donovan to glance in his direction. Since Damien failed to continue, Donovan simply returned to his food. Damien was about to cry. He looked toward his mother in hopes of some support, but she only looked away. Demetrius stayed absorbed in his meal without giving anything attention. The only thing breaking the oppressive quiet was the faint sound of cutlery tapping the plates. Their painfully silent dinner continued as the servers moved in and out of the room to bring each course. And on that rare night when the entire family was finally gathered, the distance between every member of the Desmond household was unmistakably clear. They focused solely on eating while Melinda quietly nursed her drink. After the meal, Demetrius simply aligned his fork and knife, dabbed his mouth with his napkin, and straightened his posture. Because of that, his father told him that he could leave. He stood and thanked his father, not even looking at him, and once the eldest son had gone, Melinda also excused herself. When she rose, it was obvious that she had barely touched her food. She left her youngest son and her husband at the table, since they were not yet finished. Once Donovan had emptied his plate, he remarked that the evening had been worthwhile, something Damien did not expect at all. When Donovan stood to leave, he told Damien to chew his food properly, reminding him that rushing through meals was unhealthy. Damien did not expect to be addressed directly, and because of that, his expression brightened as he watched his father walk away. He eagerly responded with a "Yes, Father," and continued chewing repeatedly as he finished what remained on his plate. From behind him, Jeeves quietly commented that he did not need to chew that excessively. In the end, Damien was the only one left at the dinner table. When he finally finished, he asked Jeeves what his father meant by calling the evening worthwhile. Jeeves explained that it likely meant his father enjoyed having all of them eat together, and wondered if that was not what Damien wanted it to mean as well. As Donovan walked out, he was accompanied by 3 large bodyguards. Damien felt embarrassed, but admitted that he also wanted to believe that was what his father meant. Jeeves smiled and said that it seemed to be the case. Meanwhile, Donovan strode away with his usual seriousness, leaving the tense dinner behind him. The next day, a busy and crowded festival could be seen, and the Forger family visited together. Anya was thrilled the moment she saw it, running ahead in excitement, while Lloyd thought to himself that the annual Berlin Winter Sheep Festival was a perfect opportunity for Anya to enjoy her school break. That was the excuse he used to bring her there anyway. Anya overheard his thoughts and froze for a moment as he mentally noted that the Lady Patriots Society had helped organize the event, just as they did with the charity bazaar for disabled veterans. Because of that, there was a strong possibility that Melinda Desmond would appear, and even though Melinda was not a priority surveillance target, he felt it would be negligent to pass up a chance to advance Plan C, the Melinda Your Mommy friendship scheme. Anya stiffened in horror, realizing she had completely forgotten that her mama was technically her enemy in the friendship schemes. In her mind, if Plan C went smoothly, her papa would abandon her. So she decided she needed to befriend Scion Boy first in order to learn the Desmond family secrets before anyone else. At the same festival, Damien, Emile, and Ewan also arrived with their butlers. Emil pointed out the entire traveling carnival, but Damien had no interest, insisting that festival attractions were for little kids. Ewan, however, became enthused when he noticed the food stands. Even so, Damien complained that it was cold and boring, declaring that they should go home. But then he learned from Jeeves that the Lady Patriots Society was volunteering at the event. Realizing that his mother might be there, Damien immediately became uneasy. Emil then said it would be embarrassing if his mother saw him in a place like that, and Damien agreed. At that moment, Ewan turned his head and spotted the Forger family, leaving all three boys stunned. Anya was equally surprised and called out to Scion Boy and his henchlings. Damien demanded to know what she was doing there, while Ewan insisted the festival was no place for peasantry. Anya told them to shut up and called them stupid dummies, prompting Lloyd to scold her to watch her language. In his mind, he noted that Plan B was not looking promising, and Anya panicked upon hearing it, realizing she needed to lean hard into her supposed friendship with Damien. Yor greeted Damien and his friends kindly, and Anya stepped forward with a leaf, telling Damien that the leaf he lent her was now being returned. She announced that it was super amazing and thanked him, reasoning that friends lent each other things. Damien glared at her and asked what she was talking about, telling her not to hand him trash she picked up from the ground because he had never lent her a leaf in the first place. Ewan and Emil immediately backed him up, accusing Anya of trying to tarnish Damien with garbage and calling her a scoundrel. Emil continued by telling her to stop pretending she was anything more than an ordinary commoner. Their butlers were mortified by their behavior and apologized to the Forger family, calling it deeply ungentlemanly. The Egeberg butler complimented Anya, calling her an adorable young lady and saying her outfit suited her well. Anya happily thanked the group she now referred to as henchlings of the henchlings, leaving Lloyd stunned. He insisted that they should be the ones apologizing after the way their young daughter behaved during the orientation. That comment made Jeeves realize that this was the Forger family he had heard about repeatedly. He approached them and said that, on behalf of those under their care, they owed the Forgers a great debt of gratitude. Lloyd lifted his hat in acknowledgement and replied that it was nothing, insisting that they were the ones who should be grateful. In his mind, he noted that these men likely served the Desmond, Egeberg, and Elman families. Building connections with them certainly would not hurt, since understanding the natural behavior of those around the Desmonds could offer valuable opportunities. Anya watched him think and sighed internally, realizing her papa had once again gone straight into work mode. Since Melinda was involved in the event, Lloyd reasoned that Damien might be nearby as well, though the boy did not seem to be accompanying her. Still, Melinda had personally retrieved Damien after the bus hijacking, yet she appeared to leave his daily care entirely in the hands of his butler. For both Plan B and Plan C, Lloyd felt it was crucial to form a solid understanding of the degree of intimacy shared between each member of the Desmond family. Anya tried to follow his train of thought, but quickly lost track of everything he was analyzing. From behind them, someone recognized Anya and called her name. It was Becky, who brightened the moment she saw her friend. Becky could not believe how often they had been running into each other lately. She stood with her parents and Martha, while Anya happily explained that their constant meetings were because their brain goo was totally in sync. Becky mentioned that there was a more elegant way to say that, but she appreciated the sentiment anyway. Becky's father greeted Lloyd, addressing him as Mr. Forger and mentioning how often his daughter talked about him. Lloyd lifted his hat respectfully and said it was an honor to meet Mr. Blackbell. In his mind, he registered the name Byron Blackbell, CEO of Blackbell Heavy Industries. He had seen no suspicious indications of involvement with the Desmond Group, nor any signs of money or material movement that might suggest preparation for a military expansion. Still, forming a closer relationship with the Blackbells could only benefit him. Anya noticed once again that her papa had immediately gone back in a mission mode. Becky urged Anya to walk around the festival with her, and Anya agreed enthusiastically. Meanwhile, their fathers continued talking. Mr. Blackbell mentioned hearing rumors that Lloyd had been attempting to flirt with his daughter, which made Lloyd laugh awkwardly before clarifying that it had all been a misunderstanding. In his mind, he was pleased to have the chance to meet the Blackbells, but could not help feeling disappointed that his efforts were not drawing him any closer to Damien. Anya, hearing him from a distance, begged him to stop overthinking everything. From not too far away, someone else had taken notice of them. It was Billy, waving enthusiastically as he called out to them as his schoolmates from Class 3, standing beside his father. Damien could not believe that even Billy was there at the festival. Billy only laughed and said that everyone was welcome at city festivals, addressing him as Damien, son of Chairman Desmond. His father asked whether those children were his classmates, and Billy confirmed they were. Lloyd immediately began assessing the situation again. That man was Major Wesley Watkins from the National People's Army Command. While gathering military-related information was never a bad thing, even a personal connection would still make it incredibly difficult to obtain that kind of intel. Any attempt to probe could cause significant risk. Still, if he laid the groundwork carefully and respectfully, there was a possibility that such a door could open someday. Anya caught the shift in his thoughts and recognized it instantly as another case of SDW, or straight to work. It made her consider that befriending Billy's father might actually be useful to her in the long run. With that in mind, she cheerfully greeted the man she thought of as the mean grown man who liked throwing balls at children. He smiled back and reminded her that he only did that during dodgeball competitions and that he was actually the same age as her. Before the group could settle, another familiar classmate approached, and this time it was George with his father beside him. George beamed when he saw them and said he was delighted that their whole class seemed to be gathering there. Damien suddenly remembered his name and confirmed if he was indeed George, which worried George a bit because it took Damien a long moment to recall it. His father stepped forward and greeted Damien politely, referring to him as a young scion of the Desmond family. He expressed his gratitude for the kindness Damien's group had shown George during a difficult phase in his life. Lloyd analyzed him briefly as well. The man was Dennis Glumman, former CEO of Glumman Pharmaceuticals before the Desmond Group acquired the company. Lloyd saw no promising leads for intelligence gathering from him, at least not at that moment. Anya, having listened in, felt unexpectedly sad for George and gave him a sympathetic pat, which only left him confused. Several more classmates and their families soon noticed Anya Forger and the other children from Class 3. Many of them had never seen the Blackbell and Desmond family in person before, so the sight of all of them gathered together was surprising. A crowd quickly formed around Anya, expressing how delighted they were to finally meet the little heroine of the bus hijacking incident. The Smith family stepped forward and introduced their child from Class 4, followed by the Johnsons who greeted her warmly. Anya, confused, wondered why they kept calling her a hero. Another parent added that their child owed his life to her, and that no amount of gratitude could ever be enough. Lloyd, however, felt a flood of information pressing in on him from all directions. Parliamentary secretaries, police executives, central bank officials, and so many others were suddenly within arm's reach. It was an overwhelming concentration of potential intel and networking opportunities. Anya, meanwhile, puffed up with pride, thrilled that all of this attention was happening because of her. Soon, the parents turned their attention to Lloyd and Yoor as they asked whether they were Anya's parents. They praised the extraordinary bravery of the little girl they had raised, admitting that even now their hearts still raced whenever they remembered what had happened during the hijacking. One father confessed that he still had nightmares about it. Lloyd smiled reassuringly and explained that such reactions were perfectly normal for parents. If any of them continued to experience worrying physical or mental effects due to trauma, they should not hesitate to visit him at the hospital. Nearby, Mr. Glumman approached Jeeves and quietly asked whether Damien's parents had also come to the festival. Jeeves apologized, explaining that he was only the young master's attendant and had no knowledge of his parents' schedule. Mr. Glumman expressed disappointment, saying he had hoped to thank them personally. Lloyd overheard their conversation and thought to himself that even if the man knew, it would be impossible for him to reveal that information. One of the nearby parents overheard the conversation and mentioned that their own family owed a great deal to the Desmonds as well, prompting them to ask their child to express gratitude. The child did so, followed by another who copied the gesture. Jeeves responded with a polite smile and promised to convey their appreciation. Billy watched all of this with amazement, noting how both the Forger and Desmond families seemed incredibly popular. Damien, however, dismissed the idea and insisted that his family should never be grouped together with commoners. Emil then noticed something behind them and excitedly encouraged his boss man to assert who truly held authority at the festival by challenging everyone through a ring toss game. Damien agreed without hesitation and declared that anyone who lost the contest would have to leave the festival grounds. Ewan and Emil backed him up immediately and urged them to get lost. Jeeves attempted to intervene, calmly insisting that Damien stop, but the challenge had already been issued. Anya refused to back down, deciding that if that was what Damien wanted, they would accept the game. Becky, however, pointed out that Damien had no authority to enforce rules like that because he did not own the festival grounds. From the side, Mr. Blackbell joined in and declared that his beautiful daughter was absolutely correct. Becky, in his view, was the true star of the festival. Martha quickly intervened and urged him to stop. Lloyd, watching everything unfold, recognized how dangerous the situation was becoming. No matter who won, he stand to lose. He wondered whether there was a way to steer the game toward a draw. Billy then stepped forward and declared his own desire to participate, followed shortly by George. Major Wesley reminded his son that he should approach every battle as if the bridge behind him had already been burned, implying that failure would mean leaving Eden Academy. Billy trembled and saluted in fear, while Damien grew irritated and insisted he did not need anyone bringing that level of intensity into the competition. George, on the other hand, admitted that he would never risk transferring schools. Becky, refusing to give up, called out to Yor and begged for guidance, hoping to learn the secret technique that would guarantee victory in ring toss. Yor froze, startled by the request, while Mr. Blackbell reminded his daughter that he was right there and perfectly capable of giving her advice. Ewan and Emil, awestruck by Yor's beauty, whispered among themselves about how stunning Anya's mother was. They had even heard rumors that she once broke her own neck. Becky then called out to Lloyd, demanding his attention and urging him to watch closely as she prepared to win the game. But Mr. Blackbell quickly chimed in again, insisting that he too was watching her progress. Lloyd, caught between, felt a wave of exhaustion. The match between the girls and the boys began. Damien went first in the ring toss, confidently unleashing what he called his double slash technique. Ewan and Emil immediately praised him, insisting that it was yet another one of his masterful secret moves, which left Jeeves quietly contemplative in the background. When it was Anya's turn, instead of throwing the ring toward the bottles, she accidentally flung it backward, sending it straight into Damien's face. His friends froze in alarm, shocked by the sudden hit, while Becky burst into uncontrollable laughter. Damien, furious, insisted that she had done it on purpose, but Anya explained that it had simply slipped from her hand. Becky rushed in to defend her and urged Damien to leave her alone, since she was clearly doing her best. The butlers standing behind them couldn't help laughing after witnessing the chaotic scene. Jeeves commented softly that they rarely got the privilege of observing the children in their school environment. Watching them play with classmates and form genuine friendships was truly heartwarming, and the Elman butler agreed. Jeeves admitted that he never imagined the day would come when his young master, Damien, would feel comfortable enough to show his true self around other children outside of Ewan and Emil. Even though he was clearly annoyed with Anya, Becky still stood protectively by her side, and that alone said so much about the bonds forming between them. Becky's mother felt delighted seeing her daughter enjoying school so much and expressed her gratitude, crediting Anya for helping make that possible. Lloyd and you were both caught off guard by that. Lloyd reflected silently, realizing that Anya had surpassed all expectations in forming strong personal connections at Eden Academy. In terms of his mission, this development could yield results far greater than he had anticipated. Meanwhile, Jeeves admitted that he hoped these children would grow up unburdened by the status and expectations imposed by their parents' positions. He wished that they would continue to pursue happiness based on their own desires, even if such sentiments might no longer be appropriate for someone in his position. He couldn't help wanting that for them anyway. Lloyd grew quiet as he listened, the weight of those words lingering in his mind while he watched Anya play in front of him. Becky's mother remarked that her ears seemed to be burning, and Mr. Glumman agreed. The comment left Lloyd reflecting deeply on his own situation. A few moments later, the children's match concluded with the boys emerging victorious. They celebrated loudly, declaring themselves the champions. The girls, stunned, struggled to accept the loss. Anya, wide-eyed, couldn't believe it. Damien pointed at her to remind her that rules were rules, so she needed to leave the festival grounds just as the challenge dictated. Emil backed him up by pointing toward the exit. The reality of her defeat hit Anya hard. Her eyes welled up, and she fought back tears. She still hadn't shown her papa that she could become friends with Scion Boy. Now it felt like Plan B had collapsed entirely. Damien hadn't expected to see her crying, and the sight made him hesitate. Becky glared at him, urging him to look at what he had caused. Damien stumbled, unsure of what to do next, while Jeeves quietly asked how he intended to handle the situation. Damien eventually decided to be kind and announced that he would allow them to stay in the festival grounds, but they should stay back so he wouldn't have to look at them. Jeeves immediately pointed out that such an idea would not do, since the eyes of a future statesman must always remain watchful over the common folk. Mr. Blackbell reacted with surprise at hearing the term common folk used. Jeeves continued by saying that Damien should take this opportunity to stay close to his school friends while he could. Damien grew annoyed, insisting that he was not the one making that decision. But Jeeves calmly reminded him that he had been the one to suddenly invent new rules just moments ago. Anya perked up the moment she heard that and lit up with delight. Lloyd, relieved from behind, admitted inwardly that this arrangement worked well for both of them. He placed a hand on Anya's head, and Yor smiled softly at the sight. The group continued exploring the festival together. Becky pointed out a fortune teller's tent to Anya, describing it as a hall of clairvoyance, and invited her inside. Anya wondered aloud what a clairvoyant even was, and Becky explained that they were people who could predict whether someone was compatible with their lover. Damien's ears instantly twitched when he overheard that. While the girls focused on the tent, Jeeves suggested to the boys that, since the girls were occupied, they could take a short break at the beer garden they passed earlier. Yor then told Lloyd that she would watch over Anya, and that he was free to join the others if he wished, prompting Lloyd to thank her. Meanwhile, Mr. Blackbell offered to accompany Becky to the fortune teller so they could see how compatible they were, but his wife immediately pulled him back and instructed Martha to handle Becky instead. Martha agreed without hesitation. Jeeves then turned to his young master and asked whether Damien and the others planned on having their fortunes told as well. Damien refused, and Emil insisted that only girls enjoyed such foolishness. Ewan added that fortune-telling could not possibly be accurate, since there was no scientific basis for it. The Egeberg butler gently countered that if something brought comfort or reassurance to someone, there was nothing wrong with it at all. At the entrance of the fortune-telling area, a board displayed the names of every fortune-teller inside. Becky immediately noticed the long line leading to Magical Crowley, who appeared to be the most popular reader of the entire festival. Yor, however, grew uneasy when she saw the price, realizing how expensive that booth was. She also worried that joining such a long queue would delay everyone else, so she wasn't sure it was a good idea. Anya chose a different option entirely. Becky pointed out that the one she picked, Luna Selena, looked like a newcomer. She found it even more suspicious that this fortune teller wasn't charging a single coin for readings. That alone, she believed, made accurate predictions impossible. Worse, the booth even displayed handwritten notes apologizing in advance for being way off. But from Anya's perspective, saving money meant being able to buy more festival snacks, and that alone made it worthwhile. Yor agreed that it seemed fine enough. Becky sighed in disbelief, wondering how every path to Anya's heart always seemed to pass through her stomach. She gave up and decided she would choose a middle-ranked fortune teller instead. They parted ways and headed to their chosen tents. Yor accompanied Anya inside Selena's booth, only to find no one visible at first. Someone then called out to them and apologized, asking if they were there for a reading. The fortune teller stumbled out, swaying unsteadily, nearly losing her balance. Yor caught her just in time and asked with concern if she was all right. The woman apologized again, explaining that she was simply sleep-deprived. The moment she removed her mask, Yor recognized her, and both were startled. Luna Selena was none other than Melinda Desmond. Anya, meanwhile, stared in disbelief, realizing that yet another round of war between their overlapping friendship schemes was about to begin, leaving her deeply worried about what was coming next. Melinda steadied herself against the table, stunned by the unexpected encounter, and immediately asked Yor what she was doing there. Yoor was equally confused about why she was being questioned, pointing out that she was the one shocked and wondering how she ended up as their fortune teller. Melinda grew embarrassed and admitted that she had a point. After all, the festival was open to everyone. Melinda asked if Yoor had come with her whole family. She explained that the Lady Patriots Society was helping the event and fortune-telling happened to be a hobby of hers. She then leaned closer and pleaded for Yoor to promise that no one would ever hear about this. Yoor was surprised by the request, so Melinda clarified that even within their society, only a handful knew of her involvement. If news spread that a woman of her status was dabbling in the occult, it might cause trouble not only for her husband but for others around them. Yoor assured her that she understood. Melinda continued, admitting that she knew she should probably stop doing this, but it brought her comfort like few other things do. She explained that she had been interested in these things for a long time, believing in destiny and mysticism, and keeping an open mind toward ghosts, UFOs, telepathy, and many other unknowns. Anya flinched in shock as she mentioned those. Melinda suddenly panicked, running her hands over her face and declaring that someone her age would surely be mocked if she admitted such interests openly. She insisted it was humiliating and wondered aloud what was wrong with her. Yoor stopped her and told her that she had never once thought anything negative about it. In Yoor's eyes, it was admirable that Melinda continued to pursue the things she loved while making sure she didn't cause trouble for the people around her. Yoor even confessed that she herself had no real hobbies, which made her envy Melinda. She was caught off guard by that admission. The mood shifted instantly as she brightened and insisted that it was only natural for Yoor to say that. She claimed Yoor must have come because she was genuinely interested in divination. Yoor quickly clarified that she was only accompanying her daughter. Anya caught Melinda's thoughts and sensed her happiness. Melinda declared that she would read Yoor's fortune, although Yoor tried to decline. Anya immediately panicked in her head, realizing she was about to lose in the war of friendship schemes. She loudly wished someone could tell her own fortune instead, hoping to redirect the focus. Melinda's attention snapped toward her. She assumed Yoor's daughter must be the one who was lost and in need of guidance, so she asked what future the little girl wanted to know about. Anya responded that she wanted to know how to become friends with Scion Boy. Melinda froze, shocked that she was referring to her own son, Damien. Yoor added that he was actually with them earlier while they were exploring the festival. Melinda's expression twisted in irritation as she realized her son was indeed there. She immediately blamed Jeeves in her head for not informing her. Melinda insisted even more firmly that none of them could ever reveal what they discovered there. She pleaded with both Yoor and Anya to keep her secret in exchange for the reading. Anya agreed immediately. Melinda then grew anxious, imagining what would happen if her husband learned about all of this and assumed she had brought Damien to the festival on her own. She fretted over what she would do, though she reassured herself that Jeeves would surely handle the situation. Her thoughts drifted so much that she almost forgot about Anya's request. Anya reminded her about the fortune, prompting Melinda to apologize and explain that she simply needed a moment to prepare. Inside, she prayed that Damien would just go away, yet another part of her believed that if he enjoyed the event by her side, she would be delighted beyond measure. Regardless, she felt grateful there was someone so eager to become her son's friend, calling the feeling wonderful. Anya stared back at her in disbelief. A moment later, Melinda sat upright and gathered her cards. She closed her eyes, holding the deck gently before shuffling it with practiced motions. Once arranged, she began laying the cards out in front of Anya. Anya lit up at the sight, imagining they were about to engage in some kind of card battle, but Melinda calmly explained that there would be no fighting at all. The cards were meant to reveal glimpses of her future, using tarot as the medium. Since Anya wanted to know how to become friends with Damien, the cards would guide them toward that answer. Melinda decided that the first step was to read Anya's past, present, and future. The card representing Anya's present turned out to be the Four of Cups. Anya waited for the explanation, only for Melinda to pause, frown at the card, and admit she had absolutely no idea what it meant. Anya stared at her, stunned. Melinda winced and apologized again, her eyes welling up as she confessed that she was still a complete amateur. She regretted trying to show off and wished she had not included the minor arcana at all. She quickly pointed to another card she had drawn earlier, noting that this one had a clearer meaning. so she suggested they start there instead. That card, she explained, represented death. According to her initial reading, the Grim Reaper was hovering right beside Anya. Terrified, Anya slowly glanced over her shoulder, and even Yoor grew tense. Melinda immediately burst into nervous laughter and reassured them that it was obviously not literal. She apologized yet again for the confusion. When Melinda shifted her focus to Anya's future, she selected the star card as its symbol, though it appeared reversed. She stared at it intently, trying to interpret what that meant, and at first concluded that perhaps it suggested Anya would never again obtain a Stella star for all eternity. Anya was horrified at the implication. Melinda quickly corrected herself, insisting that it wasn't true at all. Another possible meaning was that Anya and Damien would become close if she managed to earn one more Stella, though she added that the interpretation could also mean the complete opposite. She grew increasingly confused, unable to settle on a definitive reading. Anya tried to lift her spirits by calling her Scion Mom. Melinda then shifted into a more serious tone as she asked Anya directly whether she liked Damien. Anya hesitated before admitting that she actually disliked him, since he kept bullying her. Yoor immediately tensed, startled by her daughter's bluntness and attempting to rein her in, while Melinda released a soft laugh in response. She apologized on her son's behalf and, in her thoughts, noted that this child probably knew far more about Damien's true behavior than she ever did. Melinda confessed that it made her genuinely happy to see Anya still trying to be his friend despite everything. She recalled with a quiet ache that she had offered Damien nothing as a mother. Her own weakness and worthlessness, as she put it, had kept her away. She realized how long she had been running from him and recognized that she needed to face him eventually. The memory of her husband's cold, terrifying stare suddenly surged back, causing her hands to tremble on the table. Anxiety tightened her chest as conflicting thoughts tripped over one another. Part of her felt ready to defy Donovan's wishes entirely. Another part called her a coward. She thought of Damien next and wondered why she even hesitated. At that point, she felt that the fortune-telling itself had become meaningless. She questioned why she was even sitting there. Yoor moved closer to check on her, noticing how pale she had become. That brought Melinda back to reality, and she apologized again, insisting she was simply tired. Yoor observed that she always seemed busy, but Melinda denied that being the root of her distress. Something deeper was weighing on her mind, though she chose not to elaborate. She brushed it aside, claiming it was nothing worth mentioning. She admitted inwardly that she could never say it aloud, but the truth was that she feared her own husband. Anya caught that thought instantly. In her mind, the realization exploded into the idea that Scion Boy's mom was being bullied by the evil super boss she now labeled Scion Dad. Unable to contain her curiosity, Anya suddenly asked whether everyone in their family got along. Melinda froze, unprepared for such a direct question, and Yoor grew anxious as she realized what her daughter had blurted out without warning. Melinda swept the cards off the table and apologized, explaining that the reading had to end because she no longer felt well. Yoor immediately asked if she was all right and offered to help her walk, but Melinda declined the offer, thanking her and insisting that she could manage. Her thoughts were still tangled in worries about what her husband might say or do, leaving her utterly disoriented. Anya continued quietly reading her thoughts, recognizing the feeling as something she herself had experienced before. Melinda muttered to herself as she stepped out of the tent, prompting concern from Yoor. Just as she watched Melinda walk away, Yoor suddenly remembered something and called out to her, asking if she could share something before Melinda left. The scene then shifted to the beer garden area of the festival where Damien and his friends were huddled over a Ouija board. They were thrilled to learn, according to the board, that their next history test would be about the Sneak civilization. Emil declared confidently that this guaranteed they would get a Stella, while Ewan was completely impressed by the mystical accuracy of the Ouija board. From a nearby table, Becky stared at them with disbelief, wondering what was wrong with those boys. She reminded herself that she had already told them not to trust junk like that. At another table, Lloyd was deep in conversation with Jeeves and Major Watkins, using the opportunity to strengthen connections where he could potentially gain valuable insight. Becky then spotted Anya approaching and waved her over, immediately asking how it went. She noticed that the reading had taken a long time, and Anya's expression made it clear she was not pleased. She explained that she had been told the Grim Reaper was right beside her, which startled Becky enough to frighten even her. Yor quickly reassured them internally that it couldn't be true, since she herself was definitely not a Grim Reaper and certainly didn't wield a scythe. Becky went on to share that her own fortune teller had told her to stop chasing older men, and she scoffed at how ridiculous that was, calling the woman a fraud. Then she dismissed the Grim Reaper topic entirely and leaned closer, eager to know what had been said about love. Damien, seated just close enough at his own table, leaned subtly in their direction, straining to hear every word. Anya hesitated before answering and eventually said that if she could be invited to his house, everything would work out. Damien immediately shouted across the space, demanding to know who the hell would ever invite her to their house. Becky countered that Anya never said it had anything to do with him and pressed him instead, asking if he had any new feelings he wanted to share. Damien flushed red and stammered helplessly. Yor leaned down to whisper to Anya, reminding her that she didn't recall Melinda saying anything like that, which made Anya freeze in place. While Lloyd continued speaking with the adults around him, he thought to himself that it was time to track down Melinda Desmond of the Lady Patriots. All he needed was an excuse to step away from the group. Anya read that thought and immediately realized that her father still had no idea Melinda had already gone home. Wanting to stop him, she created a scene and remarked dramatically that she hoped a day like this could last forever, since she almost never had the chance to play with her family and school friends all at once. She said it had been so much fun. Becky praised her for saying something so sweet, and Billy added a loud approval of his own. Lloyd reflected that she had a point. It was indeed rare for all of them to spend time together like this. And since he probably wouldn't get any meaningful information from Melinda, and since he still wasn't even sure if she had ever been at the festival, it seemed wiser to stay put and continue gathering intel from the people already around him. With that, Twilight spent the rest of the day conversing skillfully with everyone. Eventually night fell. Every family said their goodbyes. Lloyd was thoroughly exhausted, his mind weighed down by the mountain of potential intel he had tried to process throughout the day. Yor, on the other hand, was delighted that Lloyd had bought Anya a mask as a little souvenir. Behind them, the butlers expressed sincere gratitude toward Lloyd, telling him that it was a pleasure to meet him and thanking him for everything. He returned the courtesy with a polite reply, saying that the pleasure had been his. Yor then thanked the boys for being good friends to Anya, and they bowed politely to her. Emil commented that it must be nice to have such a kind and gentle mom, admitting that his own mother only ever yelled at people. Ewan reminded him that she wasn't even his real mother, since Emil himself had mentioned before that he had a stepmother. Damien overheard them and reacted immediately. He commented on how she was still walking around at her age holding her mother's hand. He found it embarrassing and childish. Anya stopped in her tracks when she heard that and went up to him, lifting her mask slightly as she told him that his mother loved him very much. Damien stared at her in shock, demanding to know where that had come from and what she even knew about any of it. She lowered her mask again and simply insisted that he should believe her because she knew. He snapped back at her, telling her to take off her ridiculous mask, asking if she was still playing make-believe and calling her childish. Jeeves, watching from behind, could hardly believe that the same boy who had declared himself the king of antiquity only days ago was now calling that childish. Yor stepped up from behind Damien and gently added that from everything she had seen, it was true that his mother loved him very deeply. Damien's face turned bright red at her words, and he hurriedly stormed off in embarrassment. Jeeves reminded him not to run or he would hurt himself, while Ewan and Emil rushed after him as well. Jeeves smiled and thanked her sincerely, saying she owed her a great deal. He added that he was truly glad he had brought Master Damien to the festival. After excusing himself, he rushed off to follow the boy. The Egebird butler invited Lloyd to join him for a drink next time, and not long after, they all said their farewells. As Lloyd watched them walk away, something stirred in his memory. He suddenly recalled his own childhood friends. The people he once treasured before life had turned him into who he was now. The nostalgia made him close his eyes for a moment. Anya called out to him, prompting him to ask if she had enjoyed the festival. She grinned from ear to ear and said it had been incredibly fun. "Is that right?" Lloyd asked. Anya suddenly sneezed, and so Yoor said they should head home before she caught a cold. A few days later, the scene shifted to the Berlin General Hospital's psychiatry department. Director Gori greeted Lloyd with a wave, and Lloyd greeted him politely in return. The director asked if he was getting used to receiving VIP patients. Lloyd responded that of course he was. After all, he was committed to giving the same level of careful treatment to every patient, whether they were well-known or ordinary citizens. Director Gori praised him warmly, thinking of him as a ray of sunshine and saying he was delighted to hear such dedication. The director then mentioned that they had a drop-in. He asked Lloyd if he would be able to take the case, although he admitted that everyone was a little uneasy about this particular patient. Lloyd noted that the way he spoke made the individual sound extremely powerful. The director replied not powerful as much as they were challenging. The person in question, he added, was none other than the former First Lady. Melinda had arrived to seek a consultation, and the unease in her eyes made it clear how troubled she was. Nola accompanied her, and Melinda admitted that she despised hospitals, especially the sterile antiseptic smell. She explained that she never would have come if Yoor had not urged her to. A memory resurfaced from the festival. Yoor had encouraged her to consider visiting the hospital, explaining gently that her husband worked there as a psychiatrist. Yoor recalled the words Lloyd had told other parents, that if they were experiencing any physical or mental aftereffects from stress, they shouldn't hesitate to consult him. Yoor hadn't pressured her, only said that if she felt comfortable, she could give the idea some thought. Melinda had said she understood, and that if Yoor herself recommended it, she would at least consider it. Anya had been impressed, thinking to herself that her mother was directly boosting her father's mission. But then Yoor, in her well-meaning obliviousness, had casually mentioned something called concussive therapy and warned Melinda to prepare herself in case she ended up getting kicked. Melinda had been horrified by this revelation, and Anya had been just as shocked at how her mother managed to sabotage the opportunity in one breath. Back in the present, Melinda nervously wondered aloud if she truly was going to be kicked during the session. Nola assured her that nothing of the sort would happen. Meanwhile, Director Gori continued briefing Lloyd. He said the former First Lady had expressed that if she really was kicked, she would walk out immediately. In his assessment, she appeared to be suffering from a severe persecution complex, and because of her position, it would be essential to treat her with extraordinary caution and calm. Lloyd only sighed. The director asked what Lloyd thought of the situation and whether he could rely on him. He added that Lloyd had nothing to fear. The current administration would not put him under surveillance just for treating the wife of the National Unity Party's chairman. He patted Lloyd on the back and thought that if this whole situation blew up on them, he would place all the blame entirely on him. Lloyd simply smiled and assured him that he understood and that he could rely on him completely. After finishing his conversation with Director Gori, Lloyd finally met with Melinda. With a calm and reassuring smile, he greeted her and introduced himself as Dr. Forger, the one who would be handling her treatment. The moment she saw him approach, Melinda raised her hands defensively and shielded her face, clearly expecting some kind of attack. Her immediate panic baffled Lloyd, who had no idea why she was reacting that way. Melinda asked if he was Yoor's husband, explaining that she only came because Yoor urged her to, and then admitted she had been told that part of her treatment might involve him striking her. Lloyd couldn't believe what he was hearing, and the realization hit him that this was the source of her fear. He assured her there was absolutely nothing to worry about. All they would do was sit and have a peaceful, proper conversation. In the back of his mind, he noted how the relationship between Yoor and Melinda appeared to be deepening, enough that Yoor was unintentionally advancing his mission even further. He looked over the form she had filled out and noticed the symptoms she listed: headaches, insomnia, and a decline in appetite. He began gently asking when these symptoms first started and encouraged her to recall any events that may have triggered them. Melinda refused to meet his eyes, answering nothing as silence settled between them. Lloyd offered her a patient, reassuring smile and reminded her that she was completely free to speak her mind. As a doctor, he was bound by an oath to keep everything confidential. Nothing they discussed would ever be shared, not publicly, not privately, not even with his wife. And if, in some impossible scenario, anything during their sessions caused her harm, he encouraged her to report him directly to the authorities. Hearing this, Melinda finally looked him in the eyes. Anxiety filled her expression. She told him he was clearly a strong person, admirable even, for caring for so many patients day after day. She added that she felt something similar whenever she saw Yor, describing both of them as lively, a comparison that caught Lloyd off guard. Nola stepped in to defend her madam, insisting that Melinda herself was no less impressive. She worked incredibly hard as the wife of the party chairman. Lloyd gently asked whether Melinda didn't consider herself lively. This made her stop, genuinely having to think about the answer. He continued, telling her that even though he was a doctor, he was still human, and many parts of his job and everyday life weighed on his own mental health. Whenever that happened, he also arranged appointments with colleagues to release the burden. It was neither shameful nor wrong to struggle, even for someone in her position. Despite being married to the chairman of a powerful political party, she was still a person with limits. He hoped she might gradually open up to him and share the things troubling her, so he could help her find a solution. Privately, Lloyd thought that what he truly needed were even the smallest fragments of information that might aid Operation Strix. Any insight Melinda offered could serve a purpose. After listening to him, Melinda closed her eyes briefly. Then she turned to Nora and instructed her to wait outside. Nora rose immediately and left the room. The clock read 11:08 when Melinda reached for her tea. She took a sip and commented that it tasted excellent. Lloyd explained that it was imported from Hagaria and offered to give her the seller's address if she wished. Melinda, however, quietly remarked that he didn't feel like a doctor at all. That remark surprised him. He asked what she meant, and she revealed that she had actually been a patient there years ago. Curious, Lloyd checked her file and discovered she was telling the truth, though he can't imagine there was much in the way of a psychiatry department back then. Melinda began opening up, sharing that back then, they were all still reeling from the chaos of the war and its aftermath. The eyes of the entire nation, and even other nations, were fixed on them. It was a difficult era, and even the doctor assigned to care for her had treated her with palpable hesitation and fear. Lloyd apologized upon hearing that, though he told her he was grateful she had returned to give their department another chance. She explained that it was her meeting with Yor that helped her realize people no longer saw her as the former First Lady she once was. For the first time, and admittedly quite late, she felt she had finally accepted that she needed to change. Lloyd simply listened in silence, allowing her space to speak freely. Melinda added that in those earlier days, she had sought help in her capacity as the party chairman's wife. But now, she was there simply as a mother and a spouse. That was enough for Lloyd to understand that she was likely experiencing deep distress connected to her family. Melinda closed her eyes again, and Lloyd waited patiently for her to continue. After a moment, she asked him whether he believed in UFOs. The question caught him completely off guard. He asked her to clarify if she meant unidentified flying objects, those in the sky, and she nodded, leaning forward. Lloyd suddenly found himself unsure how to respond. In his mind, he debated what the correct answer should be. But as a clinician, he reminded himself that his role was to listen without contradicting her. So he admitted that it was a difficult question, explaining that he had never personally seen one. Still, he remembered hearing unsubstantiated rumors that Melinda was supposedly obsessed with the dark arts. Perhaps this was a chance to steer into that direction and gain something. So he told her that considering the vastness of the universe, it wouldn't be surprising to learn they were not alone. In fact, he said, the idea that they might be visited by UFOs was exciting to think about. He added that he used to religiously read stories of UFO sightings published in a magazine called Mun. He had also reviewed investigative reports released by the Northern Naval Forces, which he always found fascinating. And there was also the recent Bavette family abduction case. After saying all of that, he paused and apologized for getting carried away. He then asked Melinda if she herself was knowledgeable about UFOs. He admitted that he didn't really know anyone with whom he could seriously discuss the topic, and given the nature of his occupation, it was a bit inconvenient to do so. Melinda remained quiet and serious, making him wonder if he had misstepped. So he apologized again and redirected, acknowledging that they had initially been talking about her family. He asked if the subject of UFOs had any connection to them. He thought perhaps her children were interested in it, or maybe she was, or possibly even Donovan if he was involved with space research in some way. That was when Melinda finally spoke. It was, in fact, about her husband. Lloyd was correct. It concerned Donovan. And then, with complete seriousness, Melinda stated that her husband was an alien. Lloyd did not immediately understand what she meant. He asked her to repeat the statement so he could be certain he heard it right. There was an awkward silence between the two before Melinda repeated that what she had said was that her husband was an alien. Lloyd had no idea how he was supposed to react to that. He simply responded with an "I see" and wondered if she meant it as a metaphor for a person whose way of thinking she could no longer understand. Because of that, he asked which aspects of her husband's behavior or mannerisms had led her to that conclusion. Melinda thought about it and could not answer immediately. She began trembling because of the question and because recalling his behavior unsettled her, so she explained that she could not bring herself to say it. She worried about what might happen if her husband learned about it. Lloyd tried to calm her, saying this was a private examination and no one there could cause her any harm. Melinda suddenly stood up and cried out that it was not true and that he had no idea what she was even talking about. Lloyd was startled by her reaction. Her voice reached all the way outside, which caused Nora to grow anxious. She became worried about what might have happened to her madam. She was about to stand and follow her when someone spoke to her and told her not to worry about it anymore. She was handed a warm drink, and it turned out to be Fiona. Fiona said that Dr. Forger was an extremely sincere and talented clinician, and she had no doubt that he would be able to help lead Mrs. Desmond in a positive direction. Nora agreed with her, although she still could not shake off her worry. When Fiona sat beside her, Nora finally calmed down and realized that it might truly be best to let the professionals handle the situation. She admitted that everyone in their household staff wished they could do something more to support Melinda. Fiona responded that it seemed she truly valued her deeply. She added that she could not speak about Melinda's specific condition, but in general, patients needed support not only from their doctor, but also from the people around them. She continued by saying that she was a psychiatric nurse, so if Nora had any concerns she wanted to share, she would be happy to listen. She was certain there were things that might be painful for Mrs. Desmond to mention or discuss objectively. Nora had not expected that and agreed with her. Back inside Lloyd's office, he told Melinda to exhale slowly through her mouth. When he asked if she felt more relaxed, she still did not respond. He reassured her again, explaining that as a doctor he would always be an ally to his patients regardless of their circumstances. If, in a purely hypothetical situation, she were being harmed in any way by her husband, he urged her to leave that environment immediately. He said they would be able to find a suitable place for her where she and her children would be safe. He considered that such a situation could lead to filing a criminal case against her husband. If they could use that to remove him from power, it might finally put an end to all of his ambitions of starting a war. Of course, it would not be that simple. There were still many members of the National Unity Party within the State Security Service and the Justice Department. However, if they could at least plant a seed of scandal, it could one day bloom into a powerful weapon against him. He spoke to her again, but Melinda could only say that her husband had never hurt her. She insisted that he had done absolutely nothing to her, something that deeply shocked Lloyd. He wondered whether her husband was controlling her in some way that forced her to say that, or perhaps had even convinced her to believe it. He explained that even if she had not been physically harmed, a person could still be hurt by someone's words or behavior. Melinda thought about it and closed her eyes. Lloyd added that for now, he himself did not know whether she was truly being abused or not. Even so, it was clear to him that she was enduring immense suffering. Her effort to fight against that suffering was the reason she had come to the hospital that day. It was clear just how heavy a burden Melinda carried. She closed her eyes again and agreed. She said she believed he was right, but when she arrived there, she realized it was already too late. It was something Lloyd had not expected to hear. He told her that it was never too late, but Melinda disagreed. She said there was no point in repairing a facade anymore. She could no longer remember when everything had begun. She wondered if it was after their first child was born, or perhaps when their second was born. She could not pinpoint it, but she said it had been a long time. And during all that time, her husband had become a completely different person. He began pushing everyone around him away and barely spoke to anyone. Until one day, she realized that he had not simply changed, but had been replaced by a being from another world. An extraterrestrial being had assumed his identity. Lloyd froze at what she said. Melinda smiled and said he was probably thinking that her claim was ridiculous and delusional. Of course he would think that. Lloyd wondered whether this could be a form of delusional misidentification syndrome, yet he had seen no signs of any brain pathology that usually accompanied such a condition. Even the simple cognitive tests he had conducted earlier had shown no issues. Melinda continued, saying that her real husband was gone. She believed aliens had taken him to a distant planet. She said Lloyd had asked earlier what her basis was for reaching that conclusion, and this was her answer. Although they rarely spoke, every time they had an interaction, she became even more afraid. It only reinforced what she believed. Even her eldest child said the same thing, that her husband, or rather that alien, as she called him, could read people's minds. Donovan Desmond was able to read the minds of others. Lloyd could hardly believe what she had just said. In other words, Melinda said her husband was telepathic. And because of that, she believed all his promises about confidentiality meant nothing. In the end, she said he would still find out she had come there. Lloyd paused. The belief that someone can read minds is a common form of delusion, and so is the feeling of being in a situation that is impossible to escape and leaves a person powerless to act. Melinda expressed that she was terrified. She did not know what her husband was. She knew she needed to protect her children, yet she was far too afraid of him. She said it took every bit of strength she had just to protect herself. Whether her husband chose to talk to their children or completely ignore them, she could do nothing but go along with it. Lloyd acknowledged how incredibly difficult that must be for her. But if he could ask, he wanted to know whether her husband commanded her. Did he tell her to do what he wanted? Melinda froze in shock and signaled no. Lloyd added that even mild cognitive bias could cause severe breakdowns in communication between two people. He asked if she did not think it was possible that if they calmly discussed the things she feared, it might ease her anxiety. However, he added that it could be easier with a neutral third party present. In that case, recommending that her husband also see a psychiatrist might be a way to make that happen. Even though he had no experience working together with extraterrestrials, he said he could even invite her husband to one of their sessions if she wanted. Melinda went cold and could not believe that was what he was suggesting. Lloyd clarified that it was only if she would be comfortable with it. Her health and the well-being of her children were what mattered most. He simply asked her to consider that through an honest conversation, they might discover that he had been a friendly alien all along. Melinda thought about what he said regarding the possibility of her husband being a friendly alien. Lloyd smiled and said that again, it was only something worth considering. They would study the nature of the situation with the utmost caution. Another possibility they needed to consider was that he might not be an alien at all. They could not dismiss the idea that he might be from the future or from the depths of the earth, or that he might have simply acquired superpowers. Lloyd said he would study the various possibilities before their next session. Melinda could not believe it when she heard him mention a next session. Lloyd explained that a problem of this nature could not be resolved instantly. He smiled and said that if she did not mind, he wanted her to write in the notebook he handed her anything she could remember from the moments she thought he was reading her mind, as well as what she felt during those moments. Melinda accepted it. The session ended a few minutes before noon. Lloyd stood and said that for now, she would first undergo a thorough medical examination and be prescribed a few light medications. Once her physical symptoms had been stabilized, they would proceed to the next step. Melinda lowered her head and asked if he thought she was sick. Lloyd took a moment to think before answering that. As he had said earlier, what he saw was that she was suffering. His intention was to help her regain her footing and recover as best as she could, for her own well-being and for her family. He hoped to see her again for another session the following week. For now, if the medication did not suit her, or if anything troubled her, she could call him. When Melinda left the room, Nora met her. Meanwhile, Fiona approached Lloyd. They discussed the session, and Lloyd wondered whether he had pushed Melinda too far. Fiona said that they both knew Donovan would never come there. Lloyd mentioned that Donovan had supposedly been replaced by an alien. But according to Fiona, based on what the chaperone had said, she had not felt that Melinda was lying. Lloyd then said that it would be best to wait for the results of the medical examination before they delved any deeper. That night, he returned home and was welcomed by his family. Yoor said she hoped he had a good day at work and that she would make him some tea. Lloyd thanked her. In his thoughts, he noted that because of her, he now had direct contact with Melinda. Anya was shocked when she read what was on his mind. She thought that her papa was doing mission stuff again. Lloyd continued thinking that the idea of a person being able to read the minds of others was impossible, as no human could ever do such a thing. Anya was completely stunned by that, because she herself could do it. Lloyd added that if such an ability truly existed, it would bring down every intelligence agency in the world. His mind returned to Donovan Desmond, and the more he learned about him, the less he understood him. Anya could not believe it when she realized that the evil superboss apparently had the same superpower as she did. In the next scene, a small child was shown from behind, held by a woman's hand. That child was Anya when she was still very little. She noticed a butterfly flying nearby. She looked up at the woman holding her hand, who smiled at her. And because she was still so young, she could not say the word butterfly correctly and instead called it bubberfly. She was delighted by it and repeated the word over and over. She even jumped as she followed its flight. The woman with her said that she knew. Would it not be wonderful if they too could soar through the sky like that? Anya turned to her, hugged her tightly, and called her mama. It turned out that this scene was only a dream. And because she hugged so tightly in her mind, she ended up nearly choking Bond in real life since he was lying beside her. Bond barked desperately, trying to escape from her grip. When Yor noticed it, she told Anya not to strangle Bond in her sleep. Anya woke up with drool on her face, still not fully conscious. Lloyd reminded her that school resumed tomorrow. He told her not to disrupt her daily sleep rhythm by falling asleep at unusual times. She sat up and replied that she understood. Lloyd said he would head out first because he needed to do some shopping. Yor told him to take care. When Lloyd asked Anya if there was anything special she wanted for dinner, she thought about it and said she wanted that dish. However, she struggled to recall its name. Yor said it was called potato gratin. Anya immediately perked up, confirming that was the one. She was impressed because she thought her mama was reading her mind. Yor responded that she read every part of her. Lloyd paused at that. Anya danced in excitement at the thought of gratin, and Bond barked along because of her enthusiasm. Yor laughed and approached Lloyd. She told him that before going to bed, Anya had seen potato gratin on TV and said she wanted it. Lloyd smiled when he heard that. He said he would be back soon. Yor told him see you soon. Anya then performed what she called her gratin dance. The next morning, Anya's alarm went off. Lloyd went to her room while fixing his necktie and tried to wake her up, saying that school was starting again. He remarked that she probably did not want to earn a tinnitus bolt for being tardy on the first day of the term. However, Anya still refused to wake up. She said it was too much work and that she did not want to go to school. Lloyd pulled her blanket away and urged her to let go of vacation mode right now. She shivered from the cold because of that. Lloyd added that going to school was fun and that Becky and Damien were waiting to see her. Anya kept her eyes closed and still would not get up. Even so, she thought that her father was right. She needed to find Scion Boy to confirm whether what she had learned about the evil superboss was really true, because world peace depended on it. But her sleepiness still won out, and she was even drooling. She realized that it was such a hassle and decided she did not care about world peace. So she just went back to sleep. Meanwhile, their pet Bond was already awake. Lloyd told Anya to stop saying nonsense and get up already. Since he had no choice, he forcefully pulled her off the bed. Anya struggled and said to wait a moment, claiming she would think of a new reason why she could not go to school. Lloyd replied that she should have thought of one before saying that. As he kept pulling her hoodie, she claimed her neck was broken and that she needed to rest because it hurt so much. Lloyd answered that it was just a crick from the way she slept. When that did not work, Anya said she had caught a cold because he pulled her blanket away. Lloyd still did not accept it. Yor was surprised when she heard their conversation. She became worried and wondered if Anya was really sick, asking if she would be all right. Lloyd told her not to take Anya's excuses seriously. He then looked at Anya and said that she knew she should not lie. Anya could not believe he was the one saying that to her. Yor remained worried, asking what if Anya truly was not feeling well. Lloyd paused at that. Out of concern, Yor hurriedly looked for a thermometer to check Anya's temperature, saying she just wanted to be sure. In Lloyd's thoughts, it seemed possible that Anya might actually have a legitimate reason for not wanting to go to school. If that was the case, forcing her could cause emotional trauma. Noticing how her parents were reacting, Anya thought about it and decided to agree to go to school after all. Lloyd and Yor were both surprised by her sudden change of heart. At Eden Academy, Becky greeted Anya with a good morning when she saw her at the locker area, and Anya returned the greeting. Becky added that the first day back at school was really depressing. Behind them, Damien could be seen walking while chatting with his friends. Anya noticed him and called out to Scion Boy. She told him that his dad seemed like a monster that morning, then asked how his dad was like and whether he was scary as well. In her thoughts, Anya decided she would gather info. Damien did not expect that question at all and asked what she was even talking about, saying that she was nobody to question him about anything. What he was thinking was that he had not even seen his father since the last time they had dinner together as a family. Anya suddenly turned away and said that she was useless to her now. It seemed she really just needed to become an Imperial scholar and confront the superboss directly. Damien was shocked by her behavior and got angry, saying that he was the one who had started their conversation. Two female students greeted Becky and Anya simply replied with a casual morning, "Classmates." Meg could not believe that Anya had already forgotten their names, so she introduced herself along with Connie. Becky then said that just as they were starting to get to know their classmates, they were now going to be placed into new classes based on their abilities. Anya froze when she heard that and realized she had been right. She was going to end up alone. Becky commented that Anya had failed all the other subjects except classical language. Damien happened to pass by and heard that, then remarked that it was a relief to be able to learn without being held back by idiots. Ewan agreed with him. Hearing that, Anya grew worried and thought that her plan B was now in crisis. Becky said that at least they would still be in the same classes for all subjects that did not have tests, so it was not that big of a deal. She then invited Anya to come along since the new class assignments had already been posted. The bell rang, and they headed to their respective classes. Inside the classroom, their teacher greeted them and announced that starting that day, they would be studying language in Class F. For that class, not only were Damien and Anya classmates, they were even seated next to each other at the same desk. Damien could not believe it and asked how and why that happened. In Anya's thoughts, Plan B was safe. Because of Damien's reaction, the teacher told him to be quiet. Ewan and Emil were assigned to Class D, and because of that, they nearly teared up and thought their boss man really needed to work on his language skills. After that class ended, the bell rang again and they went out to move to their next classrooms. While looking at the new class assignments, Becky mentioned that she was in Class C for Science B, while Anya was still in Class F. Damien was pleased that this time he would not be with Anya. The scene shifted to classroom 201-2. When the door opened, she was greeted by students chatting noisily inside. Anya froze because she did not recognize a single person there. A girl noticed her and remarked that it seemed the two of them were the only girls from Class 3. Anya asked who she was, and the girl replied that she had already said it. She was Connie. While the others were playing around inside the room, Connie got hit and let out a small cry of pain. She did not react further and simply endured it while the boys continued chasing each other. But in her thoughts, she was cursing them for all eternity, repeatedly wishing they would burn in hell. When Anya read what she was thinking, she was completely shocked and blurted out that she was disturbed. Connie was confused and asked by what. Someone then noticed them, and it was Arnold, who recognized Anya Forger as the second-place achiever in classical languages. He said that at last they were in the same class. Anya did not remember him at all and asked who he was. He replied that he was Arnold, the top scorer, and asked if she remembered he invited her to dance at the party. However, it did not ring a bell for Anya. Arnold went on to say that a little bird had told him she had her fortune read at the Wolf Festival, since his father also did readings there. He was sure she noticed the lines. Anya replied that no, that was not the case. Because of that, Arnold asked if she was a fool for forgetting so many things, and Anya replied that he had to be one first in order to recognize one. Besides, she said they were in the same class anyway, which meant his brain was on the same level as hers. Arnold gasped and thought that she had a point. Everything she said was nothing but the truth. Well said, he replied. He then grew curious and asked whether her third eye had already opened to the deeper truths of the cosmos, or perhaps if she had some way of accessing the Akashic records. Anya responded that she did not understand anything he was saying. Arnold added that, honestly, the only reason he failed the biology test was because he believed that all living beings in the world were designed by entities from a higher level of existence. Anya commented that he just watched way too many cartoons. Connie noticed something across the room and called out to Anya. She pointed to Tertius from Spectre Hall. People were saying that he was a prince of a certain country. He was surrounded by girls who were clearly swooning over him. Arnold explained that he was the third prince of Septivia, a small country in the north. However, it was not usual for foreign dignitaries to study abroad at Eden. Tertius simply smiled as he stood there. Suddenly, Anya picked up on someone's thoughts and grew worried. Turning to look, it was a boy sitting at the far end of the room. He was smiling on the outside, but inside he was deeply concerned. He thought that he was finished and that it was all over for him. Everyone was convinced that Tertius had a sexy beauty mark under his eye, but they had no idea how wrong they were. They had no idea that the mole was actually his booger. Anya was completely shocked when she heard that. In the boy's thoughts, he insisted that they were mistaken in what they assumed. It was just a cruel quirk of fate and not something he had intended. He had been picking his nose and flicked it away at the exact moment Tertius walked by, causing it to land on his face. Because of that, he was sweating in panic after realizing that the man was actually a prince. If they used cutting-edge technology to analyze that booger and trace it back to him, then he would be as good as dead. He imagined that Tertius would eventually find out about what happened, track down who had dirted him, and order that person to be punished. When Tertius stepped down from his seat, the boy realized that no one had noticed yet, not even the prince himself. Because of that, the boy made his move and stood up. As long as no one knew, he still had a chance to destroy the evidence. Anya read what was on his mind and was shocked by his mission. However, because of the number of girls surrounding Tertius, the boy could not even get close to him. The girls were curious about whether the one they were calling Teru was really super rich. Still, he could not hesitate. He forcefully pushed his way through the crowd around the prince and called out to get his attention. Tertius turned toward him. The boy reached out with his hand and said there was dirt on his face. But Tertius avoided the move, causing the boy to panic as he realized he had missed. Tertius asked what that rude behavior was supposed to mean. The boy explained that there was dirt on his face and that he was only trying to help. Tertius assured him that there was absolutely no dirt on his beautiful face, and those around him agreed. He said he appreciated the boy's eagerness to touch a noble, but politely asked him to stop. In exchange, he said he could grant him an autograph. In truth, however, in his own thoughts he was concerned about what was really going on. He wondered if he was being bullied, or if this might be some kind of local initiation rite. He mentally called for help and wished he could just go home. The boy was shocked by that response. He realized that this could no longer be stopped, because he knew that once he was caught, there would be no easy escape. So he reached out again toward Tertius's face to retrieve the gunk. Tertius thought that he needed to stop already, as he had a delicate constitution. He could not believe that, as royalty, he was being called gunk. Little by little, the boy was surely going to reach him and publicly humiliate him, and he would not allow that to happen. He carried with him the pride and prestige of the entire nation of Septivia. If the boy truly desired a fist fight, then a fist fight was what he would get, as he called out to his hooligan. In his thoughts, even if his kingdom's power was small, he would not allow Ostania to look down on it. He had to show strength. The girls grew worried and tried to stop Teru. On the other side, the boy wondered why he was being called a hooligan, and he knew that if he failed to remove it, it could stain Ostania's reputation. It could even turn into an international incident. Because of that, he stayed focused on removing the dirt from Tertius no matter what happened. Anya was reading both of their thoughts. They both realized that this incident could actually lead to war, a war where the fate of their country was at stake. Because of that, she was utterly shocked by how things were unfolding. The entire class had already noticed the commotion. They were curious whether a fight was breaking out. They could not believe that someone had suddenly tried to punch Tertius. Some of them were even frightened by what was happening. One student said they should call their teacher, but another replied that class was about to start anyway, so the teacher would surely arrive soon. The boy was sweating in panic because they had the wrong idea. All he wanted was to remove his booger from Tertius's face. Tertius, on the other hand, was growing anxious. He knew he could not fight, so in his thoughts he was desperately looking for their teacher. Another classmate was concerned, thinking that if this continued, both of them would end up getting tinnitus bolts. Everyone was thinking about what could possibly be done. Arnold thought that Anya was the hero of the bus hijacking and that she would surely be able to help. Even Connie thought that if she only had Anya's strength and courage, she would step in herself. Other students also noticed Anya from Cecile Hall. If there was anyone who would know what to do in that situation, it would be her. Because of that, Anya decided to step up, thinking that people were longing for help from a hero of the ages. If she could show them how cool she was, she would surely gain lots of friends. And then maybe one day, her papa could talk to their parents and gather information. All of it was for the sake of world peace. So she approached the two of them and told them to calm down first. The boy grew worried when he noticed her and thought she was yet another obstacle. He was concerned because his life felt like it was on the brink of death, so he simply replied that he was cool. Tertius asked who that little kitten was and said it would be better for her to leave before she got hurt. But in truth, he was thinking about the rumors. That girl was the one who had punched the son of that nation's far-right party chairman into a wall. Because of that, he pleaded internally for her to restrain that raging nationalist. Anya whispered and said that she was there to stop a war over his snot. The boy was completely shocked that she knew the truth about the mole. Anya simply nodded. He then wondered whether she should help him, for his sake and for the future of Ostania. Because of that, she quickly twisted her body and rushed toward Tertius in what she called a surprise attack. Tertius did not expect it at all and stepped back. Just as Anya was about to reach the dirt, she suddenly stopped. She hesitated and froze in place. The boy could not believe that she had stopped her own attack, thinking it had been the perfect opportunity. The truth was that Anya had changed her mind. She decided that she was not going to touch another kid's snot. That was a close one. She almost felt like she could lose her hand if she did. Tertius was left in shock and could not understand what was happening. He had been certain that even that girl was about to attack him. He suddenly remembered that it made sense. The rumors said she had taken down the entire cadre of the far-left desperados during the bus hijacking incident, and some stories even claimed she had bitten off their heads. As he imagined it in his mind, he concluded that she did not care about right or left, that she was simply a monster hell-bent on spilling blood. Anya was startled by what he was thinking because she was not that violent at all. Nervous, Tertius asked Anya, calling her kitten, if she wanted to play. Inside, however, he was deeply concerned about what she might do. He believed there was no hope for him to win since he was outnumbered. Meanwhile, Anya was thinking about what she could do as well. She needed a tool to remove the snot from his face. The boy behind them suggested that they work together. Tertius suddenly pulled out a flower and thought of chivalry. Chivalry alone was the answer. He smiled at Anya and offered her the flower, thinking that he could never raise his hand against a woman unless it was to offer her a flower. He believed that suited her far better than blood. In his mind, no woman could possibly refuse that. The other girls in the room squealed in delight, saying how lucky Anya was. Anya accepted the flower and simply stared at it. Suddenly, her aura changed and she grinned. At last, she had a tool. Tertius did not expect her reaction and grew afraid. He began sweating in panic, thinking she was a bloodthirsty beast. He was on the verge of tears, convinced she was going to slay him, and thought that he should say goodbye to his very short life. Time flashed back to his homeland, where he was being trained to use a sword. His trainer told him that his initial moves in battle always went to the right, and if an opponent noticed that habit, it would surely lead to his death. The trainer demonstrated it, leaving Tertius struggling to keep up. The trainer added that he needed to keep his center of gravity steady and balanced. The same principle applied to their kingdom. For Septivia to stay afloat in the turbulent sea of international relations, he needed to remain calm and balanced so he could see the whole picture. He urged him to grow into a great and strong man. That way, he would be able to face even large nations without fear. Tertius replied that he understood. He said he would drink lots and lots of milk to grow strong, and from that moment on, he continuously chugged glasses of milk. However, his trainer became concerned that such an amount might give him diarrhea. Back in the present, as Tertius recalled that memory, he realized that he had trained long and hard every single day for this moment. Because of that, he needed to fight with confidence, not false bravery, but true confidence born from effort. He braced himself just as Anya raised the flower and attacked. Tertius was terrified, thinking she was a beast. He kept telling himself not to be afraid. He had to face her. He escaped to the right, while Anya simply smiled and stayed focused on her target. Tertius could not believe that Anya knew his habit of dodging to the right. Because of that, he thought of his parents and his caretakers and apologized, believing that this was where his end would come in a faraway place. Suddenly, Anya let go of the flower, causing both of them to be shocked as to why she stopped again in the middle of her attack. The reason was that the crick in her neck had returned, even worse than before. The flower flew through the air and happened to sail straight toward Tertius. The tip of the stem jabbed near his eyebrow, making him clutch that spot. The booger came loose from his face and flew off. The boy followed it with his eyes and immediately ran into action. Tertius did not expect the move and wondered if it was a two-pronged offensive. The boy dove to catch the booger and finally destroyed the evidence. Tertius was shocked when he noticed the boy sprawled beside him. The boy pulled out a leaf and showed it to him, saying that this was the dirt he had been talking about that had been stuck on him. Tertius could hardly believe that he had been telling the truth. The girls were confused when they heard that, just as their teacher arrived in the classroom. Everyone was told to take their seats because class was about to begin. Tertius apologized to the boy for his discourtesy, admitting that he had been mistaken. The boy simply smiled at him and said it was no big deal. He then lightly tapped Anya and acknowledged that she had saved him, saying that he owed his life to her. Anya replied that he should not touch her with his snot hand. Tertius then approached Anya and thanked her, calling her dear kitten, but Anya answered that she was a human. She added that Tertius had nearly killed both of them, since his fists carried enough strength to crush chunks of stone. In his thoughts, however, everything had been resolved without the need for war. Perhaps, when he returned to his kingdom, he thought he would present her with one of their legendary jewels, although in his mind he knew that they did not actually possess such treasures. Anya read what was on his mind and told him that it was wrong to tell lies. She said he should trust her because he would only embarrass himself later if he kept lying. She added that he should stop embellishing. Tertius's eyes widened when he realized that the girl was completely unmoved by all his bravado. She even returned the flower he had offered. In his eyes, Anya seemed unwilling to accept a token of duplicitous affection. Somehow, she could see straight through the veil of his affectations, and yet she still protected his dignity by not uttering a single word about it. He realized that this was how the children of Ostania were. He was impressed by how strong these creatures were. He thought that their small kingdom would never be able to stand against such grand people, and that he still had so much to learn there. He thought of his steward and felt genuinely glad that he had come to Eden Academy. The teacher noticed that he was still standing there absent-mindedly, called his attention, and warned him that if he did not take his seat, he would receive a bolt. After their class ended, the bell rang. Becky asked Anya how her class had gone, while Damien peeked over as well, clearly interested in hearing about it. However, two boys appeared beside Anya. One of them introduced himself as Freddie from Hamilton Hall. He tapped Anya and said he was glad to meet her. Tertius once again offered Anya a flower, calling it a token of his affection, and asked whether he could visit their house later, saying that he wanted to learn how the people of Ostania lived. Anya felt extremely proud, thinking that her power had successfully secured world peace. Meanwhile, Becky was utterly shocked that Anya had managed to attract two boys in just 1 hour, and that she even seemed delighted by it. Damien could hardly believe what he was witnessing. Damien suddenly brushed his hand away. Emile was confused when he saw Damien wildly waving his arms through the air. Ewan asked their boss man what he was doing and reminded him that he was going to be late for class. Damien froze when he realized that their next class was Science B. Right on cue, the bell rang. Even so, the boys still would not stop talking to Anya. Tertius asked her if she would like to visit their country during the next school break, saying that while it was small, it was beautiful. Freddie continued patting Anya on the back and said she could just come along bowling with them over the weekend. He mentioned that some commuter students would be going too and that it would definitely be fun. Damien began sweating when he heard all of that. His irritation and jealousy were obvious from what he was hearing. Because of that, he felt a strange buzzing sensation and could not stop himself from swatting at it while insisting that he was not jealous. He kept slapping at it and saying that he was not envious of anyone at all. As he continued flailing around, Emile reminded him that they needed to head back to the dorm. Someone then commented that Anya looked like she was having a great time, and it turned out to be Becky whispering to the clearly jealous Damien. Becky said that Anya was extremely happy because she was going bowling and even going on a trip to another country. Damien blushed intensely and was clearly affected. Becky added that the Fang boy was very friendly and fun, which was why Anya felt so at ease whenever they were together. On top of that, the prince was a noble gentleman. Lately, whenever Anya thought about them, her heart would race and she would wonder what those new feelings meant. In her imagination, Anya showed Becky an engagement ring and said that the prince had proposed to her. Becky was completely shocked when she realized that Anya would become a crown princess and asked what would happen to the Fang boy. Anya answered that she had decided to become a princess because she wanted to serve as a bridge between their countries to help bring world peace. Because of that, Becky said she would not try to stop her. However, she had one question: what about Damien or Scion Boy? Anya replied by asking who that was and said she did not know him. Becky then imagined Anya boarding a huge ship and saying goodbye to her. She would wish her happiness in her new life and ask her to write once she arrived. Thinking about that possibility made Becky tear up. Damien grew frightened when he heard all of this. Becky walked away, saying that it would happen one day and that it was only a matter of time, which left Damien deeply unsettled. That night, at the Eden Academy dorm, Damien's emotions were still surging. He found himself caught in a dream. In it, he was like a Dragon Quest warrior slicing the buzzing feelings with his weapon. Those enemies kept multiplying, so he did not stop fighting. He told them to leave him alone. Even so, he grew exhausted and out of breath while the enemies continued to multiply. They merged together and formed a massive being. Damien had no choice but to look up at the enormous monster standing before him. Still, he did not retreat and faced it head-on. He narrowly dodged as it attacked. It unleashed one attack after another, but Damien charged forward and declared that he was Damien of House Desmond, warning it not to underestimate him if it did not want to suffer the consequences. He spun through the air and used what he called a rolling sweep attack. From above, he managed to shatter the enemy. Damien was thrilled by what he had accomplished. However, the enemy suddenly appeared again, revealing that what he had destroyed was only an afterimage. Damien was shocked when he heard that voice behind him. The enemy took a stance to strike him, and when Damien turned around, it was already too late to fight back. The force of the blow was so powerful that it shook the entire area when it hit him. Damien suddenly shot upright and woke up from the shock. He muttered that the enemy was incredibly strong. Emile was confused when he heard him. Damien stood up and admitted that it was his fault. He went to the living room and sat down while holding a drink, letting out a deep sigh. He grew irritated, wondering how long he was going to be troubled by this. His friends stood up as well and followed him. They told him not to act alone like a lone wolf. Ewan added that he should talk to them if he had any problems. Damien did not expect them to get up. Emile asked if this was because he had been assigned to Language Studies F, and Damien denied it. In his thoughts, he knew he could not tell them. He would rather die than admit that he was bothered because of that Uggo. Even so, he knew that this suffering had to end somehow. He needed someone who could help him. A sudden bright idea came to him. Once the two of them sat down on the couch in front of him, Damien mentioned that this was about a friend of his who was having problems. The two of them were shocked by what he said. Damien finally opened up to them, but instead of admitting that it was his own problem, he said it was about a friend. He explained that this friend was extremely upset about it and that he wanted to help. After hearing his story, the two of them could only respond with an okay. Damien then asked, sounding curious, whether there was an easy solution, something that could help his friend. They replied that the situation sounded rather difficult, but perhaps they could research an answer in the library. Just then, their teacher Thomas arrived and asked what they were doing there so late at night. They had not expected to be caught and quickly apologized, saying they would go straight back to their beds to sleep. The three of them ran off, agreeing to talk about it the next day, and Damien went along with that. Behind him, however, something was troubling the other two. In their thoughts, they could not believe that their boss man had a friend other than them. They wondered who it could be and whether it was someone they did not know. On top of that, Damien seemed overly worried about this person. They had never seen him this upset before. The thought of what they might mean for him bothered them deeply. What did their place in his life amount to now? Because of that, they too felt the same kind of buzzing sensation that Damien had been experiencing. Unbeknownst to them, Damien did not actually have such a friend and had only used it as an excuse to ask for advice. Even so, the two of them could not sleep that night, lost in their thoughts. That night, all three of them were troubled by a strange feeling. The next day, when the bell rang, Ewan and Emil headed straight to the library. As they read through books, they realized they could not find anything related to whatever was troubling the friend of their friend. They wondered what it actually was. After finishing one book, Ewan suddenly closed it and asked whether what they were doing even had a point. They were no longer the number one people in their boss man's heart. So why were they putting themselves through all this trouble for some random person? Emil nearly cried and told him not to say things like that. They needed to show their boss man that they were the ones he could rely on to handle his difficult problems. Ewan agreed with that. He apologized and said that they had to find the answer. And in situations like this, he thought it would be faster to ask the adults. They looked for Mr. Green and asked him how to defeat what was troubling them. He laughed and said that they were entering adolescence now. They replied that there was nothing funny about it. He then asked whether what they were talking about had something to do with jealousy and envy. He said he had felt those many times when he was young, which surprised the two of them since he had gone through it as well. Mr. Green said that the fastest solution was to separate themselves from the root of their jealousy. They complained that they could not do that and said they would follow Damien to the bitter end. He answered that it truly was not easy. In that case, he suggested that they share their true feelings with him to make sure that what they were feeling was accurate. Often, those feelings were based on nothing at all, and doing that would require courage. Mr. Green asked whether it was really necessary for them to be Damien's favorites, and they answered that of course it was. They then began to stammer as they tried to think of a reason. While hanging up blankets, Mr. Green said that it really was a difficult situation. Many people could tell them different ways to deal with jealousy, but in the end, humans were social animals and could not easily cast off such emotions. People often heard advice like ignoring what others were doing. But if that were truly possible, jealousy would not have been a problem in the first place. Very few people had the ability to carry out such a drastic shift in perspective within their own thinking. The two of them reflected on the depth of his advice. Mr. Green then asked if they had considered that jealousy was not inherently bad. If it stemmed from a lack of self-confidence, it could also become a force that pushed a person to improve themselves. He suddenly said that he had remembered something. He had learned that strategy from his health teacher. The trick was to imagine that their feelings were a cartoon character. The two of them were puzzled by that. He explained that they should give that jealousy fellow a name. Since it was bugging them, they could just call it Mr. Buzz. Next, they should imagine what it looked like, and they could even draw a picture of it. The idea behind doing this was that they would start to see that feeling as something separate from themselves. Then, the next time they felt Mr. Buzz in their hearts, they should not rush to fight it or chase it away. Instead, they should simply acknowledge its presence. If possible, they could even befriend it and maybe even give it a hug. And if they could not do that, then they should just observe it. What mattered most was that they did not deny that it was there. After their conversation, the two of them returned to the dorm. Emil asked Ewan whether their teacher's advice made sense to him, and he said that he thought it did. First of all, Emil believed they should tell their boss man about it. Ewan agreed so that Damien could use it for his dear friend. They felt Mr. Buzz again, so they followed Mr. Green's advice and imagined it. They managed to follow his guidance of either hugging or observing that feeling in their hearts. When they arrived at the dorm, they shared with Damien what they had learned about what to do when feeling jealous. Damien replied that it was interesting and thanked them. Emil then added that Mr. Green had also mentioned something about rare people who possessed a powerful paradise fist. Damien grew curious about that. Ewan explained that using it allowed a person to change their own way of thinking. Damien stared intently at his hand, which puzzled the two of them. Ewan then casually mentioned that Damien's troubled friend must be very important to him. Emil did not expect Damien to open up at that point. Damien blushed and denied it, saying it was just one of the cousins of his brother's classmate, and that the two of them were his only true friends. Hearing that, the two of them teared up with joy. That night, all three of them slept soundly. Damien dreamed again and faced his enemy once more. This time, his fist was visibly decorated as he greeted the opponent. The enemy asked what was on his arm, and Damien replied that it was the Paradise Fist. The enemy asked whether he really thought he could defeat him with that, and Damien admitted that he could not against Mr. Buzz. The enemy introduced himself as the Dark Lord of Buzz, but Damien did not care. He said he wore it so he could shake hands with him. The enemy called him a fool and asked if he thought they were just going to make peace. Damien smiled and said he knew he could, because he was the scion of Donovan Desmond, the man who stopped a war. The enemy paused, then reached out his hand. Because of that, they did not fight at all and instead shook hands, Damien and Mr. Buzz together. Instead of waking up, Damien fell into an even deeper, more peaceful sleep. The next morning, the bell rang at Eden Academy, and Martha dropped off a still sleepy Becky, telling her to enjoy school. Becky suddenly woke up when she noticed something beside her and asked Damien what was attached to his arm. He replied that it was the physical manifestation of his paradise fist. His two friends added that it looked spectacular and that the craftsmanship was impressive. Becky was confused by that and wondered what was wrong with him. She thought that maybe her teasing about Anya had pushed him into going crazy and commented that it was uncool. She said that if he wanted to be popular with girls, he should just throw it away. Damien grew irritated and snapped back that no one had asked her. Just then, Anya arrived, once again followed by Tertius and Freddy. Tertius proudly showed off his pen, saying it was made from the feather of a native northern gull from his homeland. Anya did not care at all and said she was still sleepy, while Freddy thought it was cool. Anya then suddenly noticed Damien, and her senses snapped awake. She saw what Damien was wearing, which made him feel shy as his jealousy resurfaced. Anya ran over to him and was impressed, asking what it was and saying it looked really cool, wondering if it was super powerful. Damien did not expect that reaction. He blushed and could not look at her as he replied that of course it was, and that it's invincible. Anya wanted it, but he did not give it to her. Seeing that, Becky commented that she and Anya needed to talk about her sense of style. Professor Henderson noticed them and approached, asking Damien what that absurd accessory was. He warned that Damien surely knew he would receive a tinnitus bolt if he wore that to class. Damien was shocked when he heard that. A few hours later, Mr. Henderson and Mr. Green were chatting. Henry opened up, saying that he could not understand the behavior of young people these days. Mr. Green laughed and said that they were cute. He asked if Henry knew that several boys from his hall had approached him yesterday, asking for life advice. Professor Henderson had not expected that at all. He could not accept that they had overlooked him, their own housemaster. Because of that, even he felt a twinge of jealousy and envy.